World that's interesting. We've got extremes. People come onto my channel, they see my posts, and wow, the hate flies. What is wrong with you? WTF? You need to seek help. You need therapy. What happened in your life that you're dressing this way? What if I said I love it? What if I said dressing this way and wearing lipstick makes me feel racy? What if I said that it has nothing to do with trans, nothing to do with GAY? What if it's just something I like to do because it makes me feel sensual? I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't have a hot ride or hot truck, so I don't cruise. What do? I go to work. I come home. I go to work. I'm tired. What do? Most people in America today got some sort of vice or fix, whether it's smoking pot, drinking, getting drunk, doing drugs, illicit sex. Michael goes to work and goes home. Women aren't showing an interest in me anymore, and it has nothing to do with this. And in fact, more women have showed an interest in me online that are good-looking women dressing this way than when I dress like a normal guy. Why is that? I don't know. I've done a lot of reading online. Women's sexuality is more fluid than men, for one thing. Many studies have been conducted showing that women, when they hit their 40s, haven't often entertained the idea of wanting to experience another woman. What's really wild is being a Christian man and going through the Christian blender of American cultural Christianity. You don't dare admit the things some men admit. That's taboo and it's not okay. But it's time. It's 2026. You got people questioning their sexuality. You got people questioning their gender, and I don't do that. How about if I just say I like what I like, irregardless of what society at large thinks? Am I going to the Minneapolis Public Library and reading children's stories dressed like this? No, and I have no desire to do so. Do I want to hang out in a kid's bathroom? Nope. Do I want to have kids sitting on my lap? Nope. Do I want a grown man sitting on my lap? Nope. And people cannot, their mental computer system cannot compute when they see this. Deuteronomy 22:5. Yeah, read Leviticus 29 and read all the other scriptural passages about the law. Remember, God told parents, your child curses you to be put to death. He or she. These teenage girls today, oh my gosh, they are out of bounds with disrespect. But check this out. I just saw this. This is the world that we live in. This lovely couple has been arrested. Their daughter is an OnlyFans, dating what looks like an African-American male, and she murdered him. Not for self-defense, she murdered him. Girls today can get away with all kinds of stuff. Girls dress like boys. They wear hoodies. They wear, one woman on my channel admitted to wearing boxers, ball caps, everything else. In fact, you go out there in public, black or white, a lot of women look and dress and act like men. Not one man, not one woman will get on a man or woman's channel and say the very first part of that verse. Let's read it. Let's I don't shy away from things. Not at all. People say, well, how do you get around this? I don't get around it. They never quote this part right here. A woman shall not wear man's clothing. Let's stop right there. They never quote that to me. Never. Even God's a gentleman. He started with ladies first. But watch what's happened in America with women. Watch what's happening with American men. And I'm going to say it. This country is simp nation, Simpsonville. Men will do anything, will change themselves, everything to get a date with a hottie. You got a black man dated this couple's not so nice daughter, and that cost him his life. I am shouting to men out there, you'd better be careful. Women aren't sugar and spice and everything nice. They're dangerous. They're murdering. They're cleaning out your account. They're suing you in divorce court. They get rank in custodial battles. They clean you out in child support. Not all women are like this, but you better tread carefully. I love women. I'm fascinated by them. And I grew up in a home where my mother was domineering. She abused my father. Not physically. Hey, Ted and Pete, go troll somewhere else. Go troll somewhere else. Stop leaving your crappy comments. You'll be hidden after I get off my live. Guys trolling me for the way I dress. You know, if you're not into men, then why are you looking and feeling the need to put dumb comments? Because men are stupid, that's why. And I'm going to say it, not all, but most. That men cannot leave things alone without feeling that they're so full of authority that they have to say some rude remark, as if I'm going to change for you. Why would I do that? You don't give me a paycheck. You don't help me with my struggles. You don't do anything for me. Everybody likes to pontificate. I remember noticing the news became that way. When I was a kid, you had the evening news. I don't know, was it a half an hour local, half an hour of worldwide news? Worldwide news is a joke. It was all American and hardly ever anything said about Australia and other countries unless there's a war. Now it's endless coverage. Guys in suits and ties and women who sit in a studio and make $800,000 a year. Well, you know, it could go this way, and I'm going to pontificate. No, actually, I disagree with you. And they're sitting there throwing this news event around, and 2 days later, nobody cares. Number one, is there something wrong with me? Yep, I'm a sinner just like everybody else. Number two, do I have mental problems? I think everybody does. You ever watch What About Bob? Richard Dreyfuss and Bill Murray? Richard Dreyfuss had more problems than Bill Murray in the movie. He was so uptight, so professional, everything had to be ordered and perfect. And Bob is a basket case. And if you pay attention, the basket cases are the ones that survive without all the stress. I humor my own self. White guy dating a white girl looked at her phone, found out she was playing around with 25 men while she lived with him. This is why you men don't play housey. All the men that talk about the way I'm dressing, most of them would have premarital sex and extramarital sex. That most men that will comment on the way I dress, if a hot-looking married woman was coming on to them, they wouldn't care. They'll just jump in. If you're going to talk about the sin, make sure you talk about what you do. What about all these rude kids today? Rude with the F word and death threats and disrespect. You know, Leviticus is very, 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 very clear. And I'm trying to get people to understand. Y'all want to talk about the law and you all want to point out my flaw, and I embrace it. If there is anyone who curses his father or his mother, he shall surely be put to death. He has cursed his father or his mother. His blood guiltiness be upon him. Also, the daughter of any priest, if she profanes herself by harlotry, she profanes her father. She shall be burned with fire. When's the last time you've seen a prostitute burned? We ought to read the law one day. We ought to read that God wasn't joking around. And we ought to draw attention to the fact that in the U.S., we've got preachers like Paul Washer and others that are so rigid and so uptight, and they are not without sin. Lordship salvation. And people sit under this and eat this up. Those are the worst Christians you can be around. They're joyless. They're got a microscope on everybody but themselves. If you even touched a dead person, you defiled yourself. Did you know in the Bible, if you have a nocturnal emission, you were unclean? If a woman had her period, you were unclean. People were to stay away from her, not touch her. You got guys having sex with a woman when she's on her period. If we were to follow the law, folks, you couldn't even work on Sunday. Or the Sabbath, excuse me. I don't care if you're a cop or hospital. If you're a Jew, you cannot go to work. Cannot. There's a lot of stuff in here that if you start reading the law, some people will even laugh. Wow, did it really say that? There's rules for the priests, laws of religious festivals. So you shall keep my commandments and do them. I am the Lord. And you shall not profane my holy name, and I will be sanctified among the sons of Israel. I am the Lord who sanctifies you, who brought you from the land of Egypt. Did you know that Paul says the law was given to show us sin? And people think that this is something we can attain to. All have sinned. There is none that seeks after God. So what do you do? Now I'm a Christian. And somehow Christians say, oh, you can't sin. So we're back to law. Look at the commandment, thou shalt not commit adultery. Jesus didn't change it. He expounded upon it with the religious leaders. You have heard that it was said, thou shalt not commit adultery. But I tell you, if a man looks at a woman with lust, every man, unless he's gay, but he still lusts, okay? Looking at a woman with lust, you've already done it. You didn't touch yourself. You didn't see her naked. You've already undressed her in your mind. So you've broken that command, and according to the word of God, you can't be really good today and not commit mental adultery and ignore the fact you did it the last 10 years of your life, and somehow that washes. You break one command, it's over. It's done. The deal is sealed. You're going to hell. The Bible even says in Adam, all die, in Christ, all live. But we become a Christian and you get the legalistic, self-righteous fruit inspectors that want to come out and hold a microscope to me and everybody else. What you're doing is not right, Michael. You could be right. Let me turn the spotlight on you. You put yourself out here. Are you qualified? Are you perfect enough? You smoke pot? You're sinning. You're using drugs. You're getting drunk? You're sinning. You're not supposed to be giving in to drunkenness. You're sleeping with your girlfriend? You're committing sexual immorality. You're defiling the temple. You gambling? You speeding in your car? Yes. Let's talk about that. Not following traffic laws is sinning. You're not submitting the governing authorities, especially when you know what you're supposed to be doing. And I can prove that by the fact every time I drove for a living, everybody hauls butt past me until they see the cop. And I'm going the speed limit. All of a sudden they go slow and I'm passing them because now they want to be honest because the cop's out there. Their own conscience just did something fascinating. Bible talks about their own conscience accusing or excusing. If you believe it's okay to speed and go the flow of traffic, why'd you slow down when you saw the cop? Guilty. You want to play the law with me? I'll play it right back. No one's going to go to hell because they broke the speed limit. Are you sure about that? Are you really, really sure? What about everybody watching me and the smart ass remarks you make on my channel? How many times did you smart off and sass your parents? You should have been dead. So don't worry about the way I dress. There wasn't a death sentence issued over me for that. Disrespecting people. That was taken very serious by God. Very serious by God. So if we want to go back to law, stop eating ham, stop eating pork, no more bacon. Cannot eat any seafood of any kind. How about this? You shall count 50 days to the day after the seventh Sabbath. Then you shall present a new grain offering to the Lord. Mark that on your calendar, 50 days. You got to go and present a grain offering. You shall bring in from your dwelling places 2 loaves of bread for a wave offering, made of 2/10 of an ephah. They shall be of fine flour baked with leaven, as first fruits to the Lord. Along with the bread, you shall present 7 one-year-old male lambs without defect. Wow. Americans wouldn't get out of the house. They sinned so much. You better get a bunch of lambs. You better get that bread. Don't worry about the way I dress. Why do I do this? Because I'm curious. I like to try it. Yesterday, I felt deeply aroused wearing lipstick and putting kiss marks all over me. This lipstick is very dry. People get on and say, wow, YouTube's really gone bad. Acting is not something I can do. Being is more my cup of tea. I actually watched quite a few videos by women, professional women, talking about why men like to wear women's clothes. And they said the same things I do. It feels good. It feels sensual. It feels exhilarating, freeing. And people try to rationalize, well, the founding fathers, they didn't wear men's clothes. Yes, they wore women's clothes. They wore girdles. They wore high heels. They wore makeup. They wore wigs. And people try to rationalize that. Just like preachers try to say, well, Solomon, those wives were just political marriages. No, they were marriages, people. 700 wives and 300 concubines. Solomon wrote Ecclesiastes and Song of Solomon and some of the Proverbs. God used him to impart to us huge wisdom, and he had a lot of women. He had a woman, 700 wives, 300 concubines. He could have a different woman for the night, every night, for 3 years before going back through the file. Sleepy homie, I'm not bruh. You got all these people on the internet judging that can't speak proper English, don't use proper grammar, got their pants sagging down with their butt crack showing, and they're going to judge me. Let's see, the pants sag is indicative of the prison rape me culture Basically, it's a billboard saying, hey, 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 I'm ready for man to come in the back door. I'm not into that. You go up and quote scripture about that. Go up to a black guy and say, hey, homosexuality is sin. You got your pants down advertising. Do you do that? No, you don't. So you go up to these women, men. How about American men that are attracted to women working on cars in overalls and mechanic uniform? Well, what's up with that? Because the men have gay blades going through them and they like a woman that's butchy because they can justify their gay tendencies. I know this stuff because I've talked to men I've watched. I used to go to the steam bath, and men that were married and financially successful had attractions to other men, and they didn't tell their wives about it. I would ask them, does your wife know? Oh, no. How come you don't leave her? Well, I love her. Can you love your wife and love sin? I think so. You see, I'm not ignorant of what goes on. The other day, I stated on my channel boldly that rapists should be put to death. The death penalty should be given to everybody raping. I don't care if you're a gay man, a lesbian woman, or straight. Raping people. Going against their will. Creating fear, violating their body, should be punishable by death. There are gays that are rapists. I have an 11-year-old stalker. I believe he's a aggressive, homosexual, dangerous male. Look at Lot. When the angels came to visit Lot, look at the aggression of the men that were full-fledged gay. Bring out those men so that we can have sex with them. I mean, they're just saying it. Lot says, here, take my beautiful daughters. Oh, whoa, Dad, what are you doing? They didn't even want those women. They were so inflamed with lust for men, they did not want those women. I'm sorry, I know something about men. Most men, if Dad's offering his pretty daughters, would be like, oh, okay. They didn't want them. And the angel struck them with blindness. Guess what? They can't see, but they're still trying to find a knob, get in the door so they can do it with these angels. These guys were focused, obsessed, young and old. And now we have the whole LGBT movement priding themselves in decadent behavior. Proof that we don't learn from history. Proof that history repeats itself. Now we got people believing that they were born male and they believe they're a girl. Now, I will tell you, I will look this audience right in the eye and say, that's a mental problem or you're demonically affected. I feel a feminine side to me, but I'm not a woman. I cannot be one. I cannot move like one. One of my moderators is always telling me your makeup is good or it's bad, or my lipstick. And I said, honey, I can't do it because I'm not a woman. I am fully man and I have a feminine side. And to admit that on the internet is to invoke every rabid, silly male or female troll. It's crazy. I think most people, Christian or non, are not honest with themselves. I remember when I got saved. I remember after I got saved and I'd be at work and people tell dirty jokes. And I was so rigid. I'm like, that's wrong. That's wrong. They shouldn't even be talking like that. Inside, I was like, that was funny. But I had this piousness thing where that's wrong, that's wrong. I was afraid to be human. I felt like I've got to rigidly hold to the Christian principle. I went in the workplace bathroom. There was a Mormon there, and he slapped Penthouse, ripped the pages out of Penthouse, and taped them all over the bathroom wall. I went in there to go pee one day, and I ripped them all off and threw them in the trash. He came up to me and said, "Did you tear down my Penthouse?" I said, "Yeah, I'm a Christian. You should be posting that in there." That was my stuff, man. It's a workplace bathroom, man. Looking back, I should have gone to the boss. But guess who the boss was? Her name was Jolene. Red hair and big tots. Cleavage showing, bar chick. She probably wouldn't have cared. But I should have at least said, "Look, I'm a guy and I'm attracted to women, but could you please tell the men to stop hanging the porn in the bathroom? I'm trying to follow my faith." Would she have handled that? I don't know. I don't know. But I had to learn as a Christian, I can't change the world out there. I just be me. I had a guy in Colorado tell me, "You're wearing this chain around your neck. You don't look like a conservative." What does a conservative look like? What does a liberal look like? What does an atheist look like? What does a gay man look like? See, for a long time, we thought a gay man was a fruity guy wearing rainbow panties. There's gay truckers, gay construction people, gay attorneys, gay cowboys. Some of the most macho built men you'd ever meet that have that deep voice and you'd never know it, get aroused by looking at other men. How about those mousy, sweet Christian housewives? Oh, many of them are inflamed when another woman from church hugs them and they feel their breast pressed into them. They feel every desire. You don't know what people are struggling with. Not everybody's going to be transparent like me. Church is the most Veneer organization I ever attend once a week. People put up a veneer, an edifice of holiness. You remember the Wild West? You remember the old downtown buildings? They used a term called facades. Beautiful brick and stone and pillars. And then when they tear down the building next door and burn down, the side of that building was the crummiest brick that's eroded. And that's what they did. They made this beautiful edifice and then used the cheap stuff where you couldn't see it. Then we go to church on Sunday morning and everybody erects their little parapets, puts on their Sunday best. That's not even there. It's not even part of the equation. I realize that not everybody's going to agree with what I do. That's fine. But the hatred. If I'm coming up and trying to come on to you, that's a different story. I don't do that. I flirt with the ladies who allow me to. I like women. There's certain things I don't like about women, and there's certain things that I do like about women. And we can analyze this to death. Yeah, I was abused. Maybe that has something to do with it. I had a domineering, crazy mother that is still alive and has never, ever, ever ponied up. My mother was very judgmental. My mother would really have a problem with me dressing this way. I don't care. Your definition of love was abuse and scars? You think I'd care what you think of me? You think I care what any of the family members on that side of the family have to opine about? You've been discredited by the fact that you were supposed to be my mom. That a mom and a parent's supposed to be your safe place. That a mother's supposed to be nurturing as you're huffing and puffing your cigarette addiction over my crib when I was adopted 4 months and wondering why I was a colicky, fussy baby. That smoke was getting to me. I have allergies, and cigarette smoke is awful. Nothing disgusts me more than to see a pretty woman with a dang cigarette dragging in her hand. It's like, nope, that's over. And people like to talk about fabric. This is a man's shirt, by the way. I cut the bottom portion of a t-shirt off. I am wearing this is a slip. Feels good. And it's funny. I've noticed that there are some people, they can enjoy their sins and not talk about it. But me, I do this in my house, and that's just a major offense. Why is that? People think it's okay to sleep with their girlfriend as a Christian. That's not even close to right. I've done it, so I can't throw stones at glass houses. I've slept with many women as a Christian and was not married to them. And it's a sin. And it's wrong. And sometimes we take it for granted, the grace of God. I like to underscore something on my channel. Look at a lot of the pretty women and the music they're listening to. Look at a lot of the pretty women who are wearing the ball cap, the hoodie, the sweatpants, go to the store with their hair all wrapped up in a rubber band, fake blonde dyed hair. Is there something wrong when I look at myself and think, my gosh, I'm better looking than a lot of these women that are fake? As a man, I can pull off feminine better than most of them can. As a man. These cross-dressers that I met when I used to go downtown, cross-dresser asked me to play pool with him. And a woman's top and all his chest hair, and I want to say, dude, if you're going to do that, at least shave that mess off. That's gross. Nobody wants to see you wearing an outside bra. And I do social experiments by doing this. Because America treats people different based on the clothing they wear. And it doesn't matter if you have a good heart. America looks at the outside of the cup, just like the Pharisees. You wear that? Self-righteous saints. There's a lot of them. They forget that they were saved by grace. They forget they were saved by grace. Jesus' harshest words were for the religious. God does not like sin. He doesn't like Michael's sin. He doesn't like your sin. And we weigh sin on a scale. We do. Hey, some of my faithful viewers, post the scripture. Don't just put the scripture where the woes to the Pharisees are, because I'm having a hard time finding it. Because it'll flash up, if you could. Wow, I'm not finding it. Is it in Mark? Is it in Luke? Every gospel is a slightly different angle of things. Having a hard time finding where Jesus said, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees." I don't know why. Jesus told the Pharisees, "For from within, out of the heart of men, proceed the evil thoughts and fornications, thefts, murders, and adulteries. All of these evil things proceed from within and defile the man." The Pharisees are saying, "Hey, your disciples are picking grains of wheat and eating them with unwashed hands." They were all about outward form. Jesus said, "That's not what makes you unclean." The religious Jews missed it. The dietary restrictions, the exact requirements of the law. They should have been able to tell that they should have come to the conclusion when God gave that law, Mount Sinai, "God, we can't live up to this." And God would have said, "Exactly." Abraham believed God, and it was credited to his account as righteousness. He wasn't even circumcised yet, which was the law's requirement. Do you see what's going on? Let's see if I can find it. The sad thing is, people get caught up in external stuff more than they do the heart. If you take a look at our country, there's some things that we don't like to admit. We're the number one producer of adult material in the world. We're supposed to be a Judeo-Christian ethnic nation. So why is it that we have the highest divorce, the highest adult material viewing, the highest rate of gambling, alcohol, drug addictions, the highest rate of medicinal use of anything, meaning disorders, acid reflux, nervousness, need Prozac, suffering depression? Do we ever look at that? Man, why can I not find this? Anyways, he said, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees. You go over land and sea to win a single convert, and when you do, you make them twice as much a son of hell as you. You wash the outside of the cup, whitewashed tombstones, inside full of dead men's bones." So my understanding when I became a Christian, and it wasn't taught to me in the beginning, Because you go to church and if you look at most people, they're more concerned about what they're wearing on Sunday than their actual heart. Gosh, the 80s was terrible with the cheap, awful, offensive, overpowering perfumes. Wow, this is a cluster. I was new to the faith. And people dressed to the nines on Sunday morning were not always nice or friendly or kind. You know, in the Old Testament, if a goat or a sheep wandered over to Mount Sinai, it was to be stoned. It was to be killed. Because that's where God met Moses. Aren't you glad we don't approach a God that puts that on us today? He made a way for us to approach him. And we've been positionally made righteous. Yeah, our actions don't always line up, do they? So as I begin to work out my own salvation, I believe that honesty is lacking with many Christians today. Christians don't want to be honest about their own selves to their own selves, let alone anybody else. I do this because I like it. What is the problem? I'm not making the evening news for bringing a weapon and blowing everybody up in a mall or school. I'm not out there driving like an idiot and endangering people. And the more people hate this, the more it makes me want to do it to prove a point. People get so fixated and they'll write off and condemn and curse somebody because I'm dressed like this. A man at the flea market pulled his business out of there. They had it for 5 years because a man threatened him. Because he dressed like a woman. If you look at men in America, men have had wrong role models as far back as I can remember. Hollywood, TV, John Wayne, Clint Eastwood. Can I remind you again, they're actors. They're not tough men, they're actors. We're so easily taken by act. It's easy to look like a tough guy in a movie. It's easy for a scene in the movie to show you working hard for 5 minutes to lead you to believe, oh my gosh, he does such hard work for 5 minutes in the movie. And those bags of stuff he's slinging, they're styrofoam. They're fake. They don't want no back injuries in Hollywood. Why are we so easily fooled by that? Our media puts out who they consider the good-looking woman, Sandra Bullock. I heard a guy at work. Oh, Sandra Bullock, I would do anything to get a date with her. I wouldn't. Why? Is she any more fantabulous than any other woman out there? There are women that are not in Hollywood that are prettier than her, nicer than her, and have a better heart than that. TV has affected us. Media has affected us. We see it in the schoolyard. We see it in who's elected class president, the popular kids. We see this all along. And churches have become cliques. And you go to church, and it seems like a lot of strange people go to church, the kinds you really want to avoid. I mean, even though I go and you've got a guy in the back going, yeah, yelling and carrying on back there. I'm painfully aware every day of my life that I fall short of the glory of God in my own self. And I stopped trying. You know what a habit trail is? It's a little system you buy for a hamster. Plastic tubing and a wheel. Have you ever seen the hamster on that wheel? He's running 90 miles an hour, squeak, 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 and going nowhere. Mike, you got to stop this. Mike, you got to stop this. Okay. What else do I need to stop? This treadmill. And I get around men. I was with a men's group in Duluth. I'm going to share with you a story about a man named Jeff in northern Minnesota. I had gone down to Leif Erikson Park on a 1989 sultry summer night. I had been invited by a coworker named Rita at the Plasma Center. She was a good-looking woman. We went and had coffee and we talked. A lot of the women in Duluth that were really pretty were teasers, and Rita wasn't doing that. She was just being kind. And when we parted ways, I went to the park, and it was August, it was hot, it was foggy. And there was an older guy that I used to chat with. I had no idea in 1989, I was naive. And I've shared this before. Rick was his name. He was from Winnipeg, Manitoba. He hung out in the park a lot. He wasn't good looking. He was older. I sat under one of those brick turrets. They had two of them. I liked Leif Erikson because at that time it reminded me of something out of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. The grass was so green. And the towers, you could sit in them on the ledge looking out at Lake Superior. I used to go there in the summer and swim when I was off work. I loved it. It was literally a couple blocks from my apartment. Free, cheap entertainment. College girls would hang out there in the summer. I did not know that that was a gay cruisy park. And that night, without getting into details, Rick touched me and he said compliments to me, and I had not had that by a woman ever. And I thought, my gosh, I must be gay. And I went home that night somewhat neurotic. I must have relieved myself somewhere between 10 and 15 times. I couldn't fall asleep. I was agitated. I said, I'm gay. There's something wrong with me. It took me a long time to unpack. You're not gay. You like women. and beautiful women won't date you. And you had a guy affirm you, gentle, touched you, told you things you'd never heard, complimented you. Ladies, men also need validation. And people try to, you got these macho men. Oh, that's so ridiculous. Really? That's why you buy the pickup and show off and brag about your guns, huh, Buckstart? Don't tell me you're not seeking validation one way or the other. And men, I'm in touch with myself. I look back on that night, and even still, that was my first experience. And even though it rattled the hell out of me then, I liked it. It was wrong. But when you don't get your needs met, guess what? I don't hold anything against him. That guy's probably dead and gone now. That was a long time ago. The gentleness, the way he touched me, telling me compliments that I had not heard. And I'm a Christian. I was a Christian when that happened. So, like, was it Edmund in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe? Who was it? Get up in that sleigh, and that witch gives him Turkish delight, and he's hooked. He never got it again. But I learned, and I stayed away, and winter came. I didn't go to that park in the winter. Nobody goes to the park in the winter. It's 25 below. You're not going to go down there and rub one out there, and it's that cold. Then they built Interstate 35. It would dead end at Mesabi Avenue. Now they built it through town, most of it underground. And they built it under Leif Erikson. I met a guy, I was in my 20s, he was in his 20s. He wasn't gay acting, and we were walking and talking, and we were talking about, doesn't it feel good to masturbate? And we did. We went under one of the tunnels. There was nobody in there. They were digging, and we both stood there and did it. Relieved ourselves. And I learned, man, I can't get a girlfriend. And I learned I could go down there and get relief. You could meet somebody. Mutual masturbation. And people will look at me and go, oh my gosh, there's something wrong with you. Do you know how many men do this stuff? Do you know how many men will pretend they don't do this stuff? Do you know that when I went to the steam bath, if you think everybody walked in there, had rainbow panties, and talked in a fruity voice, no, these were different men from different. I saw Hispanic, Black, Asian, white. Guys that looked like they came off the Baywatch set. I'd go in there, pay the fee, put my lock in my locker, take everything off, go in and hit the shower, and I was naked in there all day, and I loved it. One, I could be naked and free. And I found something interesting in that environment, right or wrong. I could be naked and nobody's belittling me. I could be naked and guys that were smooth and ripped and beautiful, muscle, long hair and short hair guys were looking at me, going, dang. And I would just talk to some. We just talked. And I said, the really good looking girls have no interest. They said, many men said, oh, girls are a waste of time. I've done all that. It's a waste of time. And I even asked myself, Why don't I try a gay relationship? Because it's not me. I cannot day in and day out date and mate a man. Are there times when, because I've been sustained not dating for so long, are there times when I feel that the thought only, the acting out of it out there with somebody? No. You got a stalker on this channel who's an aggressive homosexual. 11 years of this crap. And that's why I started coming public and saying rapists, stalkers need to be put away. They're dangerous. Creepy stalker people need to be put away. I met a lot of men, varying stages of aging in life. I met creepy gays. I met respectable men that were Christian and struggled with same-sex attraction. When you look at the pitfalls of Western culture dating, when you look at the fact that most women are looking at us for what they can get out of it and nothing else, i.e., ATM, clean up their debt and messes, I too have adopted a better to rub one out and go on about your day. And no matter what people say, no matter what is said in a pulpit on Sunday morning, I love a good orgasm, even if it's self-induced. In fact, I find that just me taking care of it, I've had deeper orgasms myself at different types of thoughts that make my arches of my feet tingle. If I've got any body pain, it's like morphine just hits it and it's gone for a minute. Sex with somebody is work. I find sex is not what it's cracked up to be with most women. They're so laden down with it. It's amazing how beautiful women are, how sexy they can be, and yet they have no sensuality. Men, I've been close to men in the steam room and our skin, our shoulders contacting. And I have. I let them touch me. Some of them I touched. Some of them were beautiful. Some of them I'd massage their neck and their back and feel their chest. All that gay stuff that Elton John and Boy George and George Michaels and all them are into? No. I draw the line at anal. That hole is not made for that. That's gross. So I've never had sex with a man. Man, I don't want it. I've had men offer. I could live in their house rent-free. Women get privilege in this country. You're a good-looking woman, and you're having hard times, you'll have any number of men will bring you into their house. I know a woman downtown. I'm not going to say her name because I like her. But she's dating a guy, and the guy moved into her house, and she started to have some physical problems. She's gorgeous. She's not uppity. Women like that are snapped up so fast. And I noticed this with the car and truck industry. You're not going to find a good pickup anymore. When I was in Virginia, Minnesota, they had something called the Manny Shopper. and I saw this 95 F-150 with that nice wine red paint. Oh, wow, what a good looking Ford. I talked to the guy, the sales guy went to the church. Ken, he says, Mike. I said, I want to take that truck. He said, that's a nice truck. He said, but you can talk down. He said, Mike, they've used it as a parts truck. They've been running back and forth with parts, and it's not selling because it's a two-wheel drive. I said, how low can I go? He goes, what do you want to offer? I said this. He goes, let's do it. The general manager came into the office and he said, you really trying to lowball me, kid? I said, well, needs a new power steering belt. Brakes need to be looked at. It's a nice truck. And the sales guy said, it's been sitting here for a year. Nobody's going to buy it. He's offering cash. He walks out the door to have a little talk. He comes in. He said, I'm in a good mood today, Mr. Nelson. You can take it. That truck went from Minnesota to Washington to Colorado to Florida to Georgia. (2008) 95 F-150 with the XLT package and the running boards and the factory aluminum alloy rims with the holes in them. Best looking rims out of a factory. I sold that truck in 2020 when I got COVID. $1,400. The brake lines had eaten away. There was cancer all underneath it. But it still ran like a top and looked good, that 302. I cried when they put it on a flatbed and drove it away. I stored all my stuff when I lived in Hong Kong for a year at my uncle's. He'd go out once a month and start it up. I had a guy in Spokane offer me a handsome price for that truck. I didn't want to sell. That was the last of the Ford two-wheel drive long bed trucks that were considered one of the greats, the square body style. This channel, when I started it after Hurricane Helene, this came as a result of Helene. I had tried so hard to divorce myself from the online world. I had chased Beth in Hong Kong. I chased Sandra in Huntsville, Alabama, and I had a lot of online relationships. Maharani in Melbourne for a year. And I've been the gamut of chat rooms and chatting and joining many guys that we all have our stories to tell of all the women you meet here and overseas that they start talking, want to turn on their cam and they're dropping their tops, and I didn't even ask them to do it. Why would I pay for a TT bar? Why would I pay to go to a cabaret? You can do it right here. You can get on adult cams. What is it? My Free Cams. I haven't even looked at that in a while. But even though I'm in the flesh, I use it as a study. All of the women on My Free Cams have crappy background music. The decadent music of a culture that I'm surrounded by. You want to marry a woman who's listening to that? Covered in tattoos and septum rings and piercings and everything else. I have a good friend who's got a ring right here. And I like her. Marriage scares me. I am man enough to admit I don't think I could do it. Because a marriage, this is the lie that we're told as Christians. marriage ends lust. No, it doesn't. If anything, it reignites it even more, especially if you're with somebody you don't belong with. And know this, the devil's going to come after you because he hates marriage. And for me, it's fish or cut bait. Years ago, I said I was sinning and lusting, and I met a woman who was a Christian, and I married her, and I wrapped my arm around it and said, I just need to be married. And I didn't cheat on her physical, but I did mental. Most of the 14 years I was married, I couldn't stand her. I realized I didn't love her. She says she loved me, but I don't believe it based on what she did and what she did after. She was childish. We're broken people hooking up with broken people. How are you going to get wholeness out of that? I like to sleep in my bed alone. As much as I might love a woman, I need space. When it's hot in Georgia, the last thing I want is another sweaty body right next to me. But I'm a man. I wish I had a young Fraulein that I just was heart to heart, and I did love her, and she loved me, and we were happy together. But that is a unicorn. It simply doesn't exist. All have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. And I have sinned many times as a Christian. I've been married and divorced as a Christian. I've had my share of sexual sins as a Christian. I let other men give me a complete body rub down. Some of the best I've ever had. They were drooling all over me, and they were getting their fill by being able to rub me down, and I was getting my fill of a good back massage, because in the world that I live in, women aren't going to massage you unless you pay them. So I'm a fair trade agreement guy. When I worked at transportation, I couldn't believe how many black women wanted me to give them money for this and that. I said, you know what? If you offered to cook me dinner, if you offered to come over and give me a back massage, you all expect us that are not your boyfriend to give you money for this. I'm a fair trade agreement. You want to come over and give me a full body rub down, no sex. I'll give you $200 for your whatever your problem is. We live in a stupid world. I don't care if I'm a Christian. It doesn't negate the fact that we do have flesh. And it's easy for, those with their little spiritual microscopes out to come in and look at me. And we know that sexual sin is all around us. And you think because I became a Christian that God turned the sex drive off and turned the Holy Spirit on and we're just frosted Lucky Charms? We're magically self-righteous? That's not the way it works. And we lie. Oh, the right one will come along. Bull crap. That don't just happen. Did you ever think that God could have had somebody that was for me, but they're disobedient and they're rebelling God? And did that ever occur to you? It takes two to tango. Fantasy is always better than reality. I can fantasize by watching two lesbian women in photos with their breasts poking at each other and their tongues touching. That is erotic art to me. That is beautiful. It's wrong, but it's beautiful. I can enjoy a thought and not actually do the deed out there. Because again, it goes back to Jesus, just the thought, we're done. And people say, well, Mike, you need to get control of your thought life. Well, I'll do that after you do. It's amazing that people don't want to be honest. They deceive themselves into thinking they can get victory over every one of the sins that we struggle with. And I'm here to tell you, this guy, Jeff, I met him down at the park. My motive for going down there that night was not God. Tainted though it was, I thought, wow, now I learned. There was something racy about a guy complimenting you and feeling you, and there was something very hot about that. All that homosexual stuff, no, but... And there were a lot of nice, kind people down there, and you could go into the trees and mutually do it, or he'd hand job me. And I said, you know what? It's wrong, but I like it. And I met Jeff. We never did any of that. And if I hadn't ever gone down there, Jeff and I talked late into the night. Not even about sexual or gay stuff. I said, are you married? Do you have kids? And he lied. A week later, I come home from my job, and he had a thick letter under my door because he drove me home that night. I said, yeah, I live in that apartment building in that unit. And as I read it, he said, I lied to you. I am married. I have a daughter, and I'm gay, and I'm trying to, I need help, and you seem different because you didn't use profanity. He said, if you want to call me and talk, but if you don't, I understand. I called, I said, hey, I got your letter. Mike, if you're uncomfortable, I said, no, I just have one question. If you're hoping for a hookup with me, I'm not interested in that. But if you're looking for help, I've got my own problems too. I said, I'm a Christian. And unfortunately, it's 2026 and I'm not as clean on my language. And God used me to reach him, and he started coming to church with me, and Jeff got saved, and Jeff grew. And I'm not going to unpack all that, but Jeff, he was Italian. He was 20-some years older than me. And Jeff struggled with his gay desires forever. He and I never saw him naked. He never saw me naked. I never did anything. And all of a sudden, after Jeff got saved, we became friends. He made me a stained glass lamp, like a Tiffany lamp. He said, whenever you pull this chain and the light comes on, you did that into my life. I have that stored in Washington. What I did not realize, Jeff never told me, except one day it slipped. I started dating a girl, and one day we were having a disagreement. And she knew Jeff's number, and she called it. I said, man, why you call my friend? And she goes, here, he wants to talk to you. Mike, Caroline's a good girl. Don't break up with her. And he said something that shocked me. I'd never heard this, ever, by any guy. I'll come and suck you off. I'm like, what? I was unfamiliar with all of that, by the way. And Jeff started a younger person's group, 20-somethings. And we met at the warehouse down by the waterfront one night. The pastor had an office in an old waterfront building with walls this thick and rafters that were made out of a single white pine. And we're talking about our struggle with lust. And it seemed like a cool evening. We could get together and be honest. But Jeff, he became a bossy butt. He'd call everyone, did you lust? Did you, you know? And I got so stupid that I'm like, you know what? I'm getting tired of this. And Jeff would read things into things. He was very bossy. I was dating Sarah. Mike, she's not a Christian. You shouldn't be dating her. He was an Italian. He had an explosive temper. He worked for the railroad. Not driving trains, doing hard manual labor. If you got bone spurs, had to have an operation. Jeff has money. He got a settlement. His wife, he cannot stand her. She's not attractive. You can't sit down and have a conversation with this woman. She is a godless, she's a miserable woman. And I was always nice to her. She was extremely judgmental to me. Jeff would smash the furniture. He was an alcoholic, and he'd have his gay lovers right there in the living room doing Brokeback Mountain when his wife come off of work. I'm like, oh my gosh. She never left him. She never threatened to. I think old Carolyn realized no man's going to be grabbing her anytime soon. Dysfunctional codependency, one-way street type thing. I started dating Sarah. I liked and respected Jeff. He started to grow. He got involved in the church. But then I started seeing something. He told me, I'm going to have to break fellowship with this guy. I'm going to have to break fellowship with this guy. And Jeff got caught on this breaking fellowship with everybody. And he'd come all the way down to Duluth, 25 miles away, and I'd be in my apartment. Had a back door and a side door, and he'd come up the side steps. That door was straight to my bedroom. Had the nice lady and her husband next door. She made me some curtains out of some material, and I'm naked on Sarah. This apartment is the size of a shoebox. You can Google Earth it. Google Earth 1 West 4th Street. Lake Avenue and 4th. Lake goes up like this. Then you'll get the picture. All these moron women. It's snowing, and they're going to turn onto lake on a San Francisco-style hill for an hour. I'd finally come out and say, hey, you know, if you turn it back up, and take 4th to 6th. 6th is plowed and it's more gradual. And these Minnesota women were the rudest, yuckiest women I've ever seen. They give me this dirty look and continue. That's what happens when you're in a state that votes Democrat. 1 hour of listening to that. They're not going to listen to a man. They're not going to be told by a man. I'm like, these women up here are some of the dumbest I've ever met. And I had no idea when I moved to Duluth. Duluth had a huge amount of gay people. Most of them were married men. I remember when I first moved there. I had a sweatshirt on and I was standing at the ship canal watching ships. 1989, it was cold. Coming up the the aerial lift bridge and going into the harbor. And men that were older than me would come up and talk to me. I didn't think anything of it. And a guy would say, here's my number if you ever want to call. I didn't know it at the time. They were hitting on me. I didn't look like I do now. I was all clothed up. They didn't know what I looked like. A lot of older men like younger men up there. Jeff put together a group of us. He had a way of wandering in and out of society with people who spent zero time with his wife. He got obsessed with his home improvement stuff. And Jeff tried to pretend he was honoring God by staying with his wife, but yet he'd come to church on Sunday. He'd put his hands up there in the praise and start sobbing his hands. I said, Jeff, what's wrong? I can't stand my wife, Nels. I said, why don't you just divorce her? Mike, I can't. It'd be dishonoring to God. I said, well, you're doing this to please God, but yet you're biatching about this every day of the year to all of us guys. And even Aaron, that I visited in Florida, said, what bothers me is he thinks he's pleasing God by staying in it when his heart is against it. And that's why Jeff got mad at me when I divorced my wife of 14 years. You had no biblical grounds for the divorce, Nels. I said, I'm not going to live like you. Well, I'm going to have to break fellowship with good. 2 divorces. Awesome. Bye. I realized all those years that I looked up to Jeff. Jeff was my friend. He got saved. He'd have me over for dinner. What I did not realize is he still struggled with lust and obviously had an attraction for me and all these young guys, and he wined and dined us and everything else. And I didn't see that at the time. Never did anything. Jeff was not handsome. He was pizza face. He had acne on top of acne. We all went swimming down on the end of Park Point and found an old shipwreck with the timbers and the copper nails that were driven in. I could see it gleaming. I dove down. I said, this thing's got copper spikes holding this thing together. It was right on the shore, half in and half under. It's like, ooh, I wish I could get those copper nails. And Jeff had a hair on his back like Chewbacca. And even Aaron said, you look like Chewbacca, Jeff. And we started laughing so hard. But we were all Christians. And Jeff was struggling, and we respected him and tried to encourage him. I have no close friends to this day. I wrote a letter to Jeff a year ago to try to put closure with his self-righteousness. He simply responded, wow, when I first read this, I thought it was from the accuser of the brethren. Then I saw your signature. Oh, so I'm the accuser of the brethren. Jeff was pointing his finger at every single one of us. He had a problem with Aaron. He had a problem with Scott Turner. He had a problem with Tim. He recommended Tim. Tim did my taxes. And he just started, he started just disassociating himself from everybody. And then there was Dave. Dave was a nice guy. There was a group of us. So we all got excited talking about God. And, I moved, this person moved, and Scott moved and married somebody in India. And there's Jeff. He's walked away from everybody. And he still thinks that he's pleasing God. Still obsessed with his kingdom. Got in debt. Manipulated his wife into selling the property. 5 acres of the 40, living on the remaining 35, and convinced her to live in the garage. They built a garage and they lived in there with a cook stove and everything while he built the Taj Mahal. And he built a studio out on the property, which he spent a lot of time in, his own personal little clubhouse with a shower and everything else. I know, I stayed there in 2004 for a week. It was a nice, he spared no expense. I would never move back to Duluth now. But he'd keep banging on the door when I was with Sarah. She was like, oh my gosh, does he not know you're not answering? I said, Sarah, I don't have a car, so he doesn't know if I'm home or not. I said, you would think that he'd figure out this is a small place and this is right up against his bedroom. He would hear me knock. He'd do this for 5 or 10 minutes and he'd get in his big gray Caprice Classic and leave. Then he'd leave in a message on my, I know you're there, Nels. I know you're doing something that's wrong. Gosh, he almost reminds me of Andrew on the internet here. You don't even know what I'm doing. You're making an assumption. I said, you know, Jeff. And I always felt such guilt because I was sinning. Sarah and I were sinning. And I should have said, you know what, Jeff, if you come from 25 miles away, maybe you ought to call me and say, what are you doing today? You want to hang out? You give me a chance to say, well, I'm going to be with Sarah today. Jeff tried to interfere with things. And I broke up with her because he said, she's not a believer and you're supposed to honor God and blah, 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 blah. And it dawned on me that Jeff wanted to monopolize all of my time. But I didn't see that until well after the fact. When I asked him to come and assist me with the home in Virginia, Minnesota, I slept in an upstairs bedroom. He slept downstairs. And it didn't take me long to see that Jeff was a very hard person to live with. Bossy. My then wife gave him permission to suggest ideas of what we do with the house. And Jeff managed to get me to buy $9,000 worth of kitchen appliances, $3,500 stove, a huge side-by-side fridge with the water and ice dispenser, and then the $1,000 microwave hood vent over the stove. And the stove was a restaurant quality, big, heavy burner gas with the cobalt blue. Oh my gosh. We went to Johnson Mertz and I saw this stuff. I said, Jeff, this stuff is expensive. Well, Nels, you can't take it with you if you love your wife. Things got worse and worse. And then Jeff got stupid. One morning I was in the kitchen fixing my oatmeal. Jeff came up from downstairs. Oh, yeah, the toilet downstairs, that leaks. You need to replace that. The laundry room sink, that leaks. You need to get a new faucet. You need to do this, this, this. I turned around and I said, the toilet's fine. It's a lazy flush. It's older. And I said, the laundry tub sink is not a massive drip. I can replace the faucet. And he kept on going. And I said, hey, Jeff, I just woke up. Can you not jackhammer me with all this stuff right now? Well, F you. I looked at him like, did he just really tell me F you in my house? I walked out the side door into the garage. It was pouring rain. I said, God, I brought him because I am limited in what I can do. But I see now where I need to be the man and I need to figure it out. I got to get him out of here. I stood out there a few minutes and I walked in. I said, hey, Jeff, I want to apologize for, you got your own stuff going on. I need you to do me a favor. Can you finish these 2 things that you started? And then you're free to go. I think that's a wonderful idea, Nels. I said, can we just cut all that? Let's just have peace. You started these projects and I cannot finish them. Finish the bump out on the window. Finish the lath and plaster that you did between the dining room and the living room, and I'll take care of the rest. Jeff was an odd one. When it came the day for him to leave, I helped him load up everything. I was like, good, let's get him out of here. I'm done. He stood around for an hour. That looks really good, doesn't it? He was gloating in his work. I said, yeah, Jeff, nobody does it as good as you. And he wouldn't leave. And I wasn't rude. Finally, he got in his truck and left. I said, I'll bring you the sawhorses and the other stuff when I'm done. He left. I walked into the house. I said, well, it's you and me, God. And it takes time to grow and be mature where you finally realize that all of us, men and women, you need to get to a point in your life where you can't depend on people. You got to go and you need to get into a little closed session with God. And I'm not perfect. And anybody listening to my YouTube, I still struggle with sexual desires and sin, and that doesn't just go away. And I've read the books and I've heard the people and I've had scripture beat over me. None of that works. I don't know what it is about Christians. They think that we can attain to holy perfection in our daily walk every day. Philip Yancey wrote some great Christian books. You have to get out of the boat. Poonging another man's wife while he's married for 8 years while writing Christian books. When are we going to learn, people? And we pedestalize people. I had a pastor in Chisholm, Minnesota. Decent preacher. And one Sunday he said, what I want to tell you guys is you need to trust in God. He said, people can let you down, bosses can let you down, spouses can let you down. I, as a pastor, can let you down. We're not to depend and look to other people. We need to trust and depend and rest in God. I've been alone for years. I've already talked about the culture out here. I've had no male hookups. I did come close to having sex a couple times with some women. Didn't quite go that far. One, because I thought, you know what? We're not going to do this because I don't want, she and I got too much different things going on. I don't know what it is about people in America. They come on my channel, they see my post saying good morning, wearing feminine clothes and the makeup, and they go, what the F, what the F? Grown men in America, do you have to comment on everything? Do you think that your words have any value or weight? I mean, you're a pile of poo-poo. That's all you are to me. I wish that when I got saved, God would just make me perfect. But then that means he makes us a robot. That means he takes away our free will. One of the deepest foundational things that most people never work out in their own brain is that God gave us free will, and yet he's sovereign. The Bible tells us, put away therefore. You got Christians who won't sin sexually, but they're materialistic whores. Every Christian I meet has got some glaring problem that they either don't see or don't think is a big deal. When you put yourself out here like me, you're going to attract all the clowns that want to throw their darts at you. Jeff and I friendship ended because of two things. My choices and the fact that Jeff, even though God used me to reach him, just like Paul and Barnabas had a disagreement and they went their separate ways. Is God using Jeff? I'm sure he is. Is he using me? He is. You know, people say, well, there's not necessarily right or wrong. There is. But there is something called personality. There is something called growth. And what Jeff failed to realize is I've become a man and I'm not going to take his crap anymore. Whether I'm sitting or not, if somebody's banging on my door over and over when I got private time with my woman, this time I'm going to come out back naked and say, how many times you got to do this before you realize I'm not answering, dum-dum? Get off my property. I should have been bold with Jeff. You're my friend, not my Lord. If you're not comfortable with what I'm doing, break fellowship and move on. But you want to control me and tell me what to do. God used me to reach you, and now you want to play bossy butt. And Christians often do this. Joseph C. Aldrich in Lifestyle Evangelism talks about you need to get to know people. You have to earn the right to have a platform into their life. The everyday clown that gets on my channel throwing scripture and stuff, I don't know who you are. And you don't know who I am. And your drive-by rude comments are not fruit of the Spirit. I dress this way because I enjoy it. I'm not going to the steam bath. I'm not going to a park. I'm not in Hong Kong where I had access to any number of beautiful women at my beck and call. I'm in Augusta, the end of the bus line. This is where the driver opened the door and said, everybody off. It's probably the worst place I could have moved for community because it's not here. I don't have it. There's not one coworker that I consider my friend. This town is a ghost town to me. People say, well, just move. Yeah, that's easy, right? God's given me his provision. I got a church that teaches the truth. I got a job and I got a house. God, when he wants me to move, he'll make the way. He'll open doors. When you're doing stuff in your own strength, there's always a struggle. I did not listen to God for a whole week when I couldn't sleep over that damn truck and that loser clown that sold it, Thomas. That was my own fault. God warned me all week when I couldn't sleep. Every night I'm tired from work and I'm agitated. I should have got up, texted E-Rock and said, we're not getting the truck. There's no peace. I'm sorry to bother you, but we're not doing this. It still bothers me to this day. I cannot believe that I allowed that to happen to my own self. And that reminded me, guard yourself. You got dang people even at work. Mike, how come you don't have a girlfriend? Why does my personal life matter to you? How come you don't give me a wage increase? Let's talk about that. What are you going to do this weekend? Not much. It's hot. How come you're not done with your house remodel yet? What, is there an expected timeline? Oh, you guys are millionaires. You can have contractors come in and have it done in a day. That's awesome. You want to be benevolent and hire them to take care of my business? Cool. I remember years ago, oh man, that was overloading the spoon here. Way too much in the hand, spilled and made a mess. If there's a doubt about my gender, then there's something wrong with you. I'm a grown man. Sometimes I act ridiculous. Sometimes I like to be funny. Sometimes I like to enjoy being somewhat feminine and sensual. Why? I don't know. I like it. I'm comfortable in my skin. That's why I shave. I don't like hair on men or women. I like a clean look. I like to feel sexy. And I won't always be that way. Day's going to come when I'm aging and it's better to have a shirt on than dress like this. I don't want to look at my wrinkled prune body after a certain amount of years. I was so stunted and so closed and so rigid. I never would have gone, I never even went around with a shirt off, even in my bedroom as a kid. I was beat up inside. And people see the pictures of my posts on YouTube and they make all kinds of rude and hateful comments. Okay, yes, I'm a Christian, but what is wrong with me enjoying my body and going, God, you did a good job on me. I look around and people let their bodies go to hell. So I'm supposed to feel bad because I feel sexy. I'm supposed to feel bad because I want to dress sexy. I'm supposed to feel awful. I'm not selling drugs. I'm not out taking people's retirement. Gosh, you vote these losers into office and they're stealing money and lining their wallets. Can you guys start worrying about things that actually are a problem? If I'm doing something that is not pleasing to God, God is big enough to take care of that. He doesn't need you to play Holy Ghost. That office is not vacant. They did not put out a position hiring for that. And I'll say the same thing to you that I said to Jeff. If what I do is offensive to you, break fellowship with my channel and move on. I spent too many years trying to change for Jeff and wives and people and pastors. That's not from here. I feel free to be me, right or wrong. God still meets my needs and he still takes care of me because God isn't fickle like people. I don't give a rat's ass what people think about me. I spent too many years caring for naught. Look at you, squirrel. Get the heck out of my fence. Hey, it rained. Look at that. It rained. Wow, it actually feels wet out here. Look at me in my own yard. I don't care what people think. I'm not naked, so I'm not violating anything. Grown men, you want to get on my channel and talk crap about me? Go find something else to do. This channel isn't for grown men to analyze my clothing. If you're not gay, then don't worry about what I'm wearing. Huh? That one, right there. That one. I've lived my life so rigid, I tried to dot my I's, cross my T's. When I drove a bus, I lived in absolute abject fear of middle school and high school kids. I felt uncomfortable every day I got behind that bus. I love driving the bus. The people dynamic rattled me every day. People say, you want to go back? No, I don't want to go back to that. I come out here to Richmond County and these kids are off the damn chain. If we were to go to Levitical law, 90% of these black kids would have been put to death based on Old Testament law of cursing their parents and cursing authority and cursing everything. Yep, I wear a slip. I wear this. Is there something wrong with me? Absolutely. Is there something wrong with every man leaving their dumb comments? 100%. If you don't like to do this, don't do it. I don't care what people in this world think. You're not going to change somebody inside their heart by whamming and bamming on them and leaving comments. If you're so convinced I'm so wrong, then get on your knees in prayer. Pray. You know, if you feel that you're so godly, then show it by your prayer life. I'm never going to tell anybody don't pray for me. Even if your motives are wrong, that's cool. If your motives are wrong, your prayers go right there. You see that? They stop right there. They don't go anywhere. You know, and I like to dress sensually. You know why? It's exciting. It feels good. I like it. I love that about a woman. A woman can wear anything, and they can do that. Why can't I wear some women's clothes? Well, because Deuteronomy 22:5. Well, stone your children when they disrespect you. Better follow the whole law, folks. Not just the cherry picking parts you want to. And I noticed that about people in America. Everybody's an expert on what Michael should do. I've been to churches. You shouldn't move. You shouldn't do this. You need to do that. I like what Sputer said at the flea market. We were talking one day. I said, you know, Sputer, I was telling him, I said, you know what's sad? I said, I'm not trying to be rude, but you come down here to the flea market in the South, a lot of these people are not beautiful. You got women that are 300-400 pounds with hair under their arms. And I walk through here dressed like this, and yeah, you get some dirty stares, and it's usually by the ugliest people. He laughed and he said, the same things happen to me. The couple walks through, they're both overweight. They both look like a freight train that went off a cliff. And they're sneering and, you know, it's funny how that dynamic is alive in our culture. It's funny how that works. The people that are judging are not specimens at all or examples to follow on any level. Some of the rudest people go to church and are Christians. Some of the rudest, most hateful people are the saints. And while they're quoting scripture about the way I'm dressed, they're not quoting 1 Corinthians 13 about love. People get mad at me on my stance on pot. Marijuana and drugs alters you. It opens the door for demons. But Mike, you dressing like that doesn't honor God. Yeah, it's something I can take off and put on. And I like to underscore on my channel that I am a spiritual man, but I also have flesh. And there's this little thing that goes on. You go to church on Sunday and people spend time wearing the right clothes. I went to the bank yesterday and the white teller person, how are you? I said, I'm all right. How are you? I'm doing well. Oh my gosh. Is that all anybody in the fake world says? And church, I'm doing well. How come everybody answers the exact same way? You're going to tell me you're an individual? You stand around bragging about this tin lined with plastic SUV you just bought. Wow, that's really something to talk about. Slapped together in a factory with no love, no care. The thing won't last 20 years and you got in debt for that. Now you want to brag to everybody about it. At least I'm interesting. At least I keep it real. And if people have a problem with that, you can unsubscribe or you can leave the channel. You're not paying me anyway, so what's the problem? You got a problem with the way I dress and you want to pay me $100,000 a year to run my channel? All right. But then I thought, no, because even when I turn off the camera, I'm going to dress the way I want in my house. I just think it's funny that people want to tell me how to live, but they won't give me the tools to do it. They won't give me the encouragement or the help. So yes, I'm broken. Yep, I have problems. Sometimes I have some wild fantasies that I act on in my mind and it feels so good for an orgasm. And I'm like, I'm glad I didn't go out and do that actually. And we beat up and berate people that are honest and telling the truth. Jesus said, you shall know the truth and the truth shall what? Put you in bondage? Do I believe God is pleased with what I'm doing? Probably not. But you're not God, so stop. If my channel is so offensive to you, why do you keep coming back again and again? I'm even wearing black panties that are a little smaller than this. Isn't that awesome? See? Isn't that fun? I'm in my house. Nobody's in here. And it's fun. And I'm comfortable in my skin. Because if I want to try something, I'm going to do it. I'm not trying drugs. I'm not bungee jumping off a cliff. I'm not standing in front of a freight train to see how long I can stand before I bail. I'm just exploring my universe in my own way. One day I'll stop doing this. One day I won't. People don't understand a person's struggle until they go through it themselves. We're all wired differently. Pulling parts. I pull different parts, and it's amazing. Of all the different vehicles, no two parts are exactly alike. Circuit boards. A circuit board for this is going to be different than that. And we blanket carte blanche people. My sex drive may be higher than most of you guys. I know it's higher than most of the women. It's a weird thing that God made women that don't want sex at all and gave them beautiful bodies that scream sex and they're not sensual and they don't care if they ever get touched at all. I'm like, God, why'd you do that? And then he made us aroused at just the mere sight of them. Oh, I hate sex. I don't care if I ever have it again. Well, shoot, guys, don't marry that one. Don't do it. I asked Jeff, why'd you marry Carolyn? His answer was interesting. I don't know. But you were always attracted to men. You know why Jeff married her? Because that's a societal expectation. And Jeff lived as a closet gay man. He'd go to the DM and IR Railroad by day and act macho with all those grown northern Minnesota men, and at home, he was doing backdoor cowboy in the living room. His wife would come home. Can you imagine being a woman coming home and seeing your husband do that? And then he's rude to her. She owned the property. And with Jeff, that property was her inheritance. When Jeff came to help me with the house, he wanted to spend the money. I said, Jeff, I did not. We asked for you to help, but not to blow the money. Well, you can't take it with you. I said, I'm not going to get in debt like you. This is a small house in a small little nothing burger town, and we don't need to be ridiculous. Jeff's craftsmanship was awesome, but he bragged about it. I don't believe in Joyce Meyer, but Jeff had a problem with approval addiction. He wanted to be validated by his craftsmanship. He loved to show people his house. He liked to stand there and bask. He really liked to do that. And I've been caught up in that. But I'm not to the degree Jeff is. I'm proud of my house. But I'm not the way he is. I realize this is going to burn one day. According to 2 Peter. And I hung on to Jeff. We complained to each other about our marriages. I got married and then I complained about her to him. And then one day we had a blowout argument in 2004 in the fall. She threatened to leave me and I'm like, oh, that'd be awesome. If she leaves me, I'm out. I called Jeff and told him, she wants to leave. You can't allow her. I said, what do you mean I can't allow her? She wants to leave. Well, you're just going to stand by and let her do it. Oh, now he's going to put the guilt on me. Jeff, I don't even want to be with her. I said, I'll tell you what, Jeff, you talk to her. You talk to her. And he did. And manipulated her to stay. When her mother died in 2005, we moved up there. 2007, things came to a head, and I just said, I cannot and will not do this anymore. Sam, I am. Minnesota's beautiful. And I'm different. I'm weird to so many people. If I was to move to northern Minnesota, there would be many people there that would be the same as it was when I was there. They wouldn't accept me. There is no place I can go where they're going to be standing at the entrance of town saying, we've been waiting for you. And if they did, I'd turn around and go, this is creepy, I'm leaving. So I feel free to express and be art. And people have a problem with that. Men are very critical of that. Oh, this guy's a fag. There's something wrong with him. No, it's called expression. It's called being in touch with myself. You can't do what I do, so I don't expect you to be me. But leave me alone. Americans are rude. They want everybody to be in the nice, neat, same little package as each other. And what we got in America, and you see it, all societies become this, canned laughter. We all buy the same SUV. We all, oh, did you get a dog? Oh, I got a dog. I got a Shih Tzu, and I got a Poop Tzu, and I got a Pete Tzu. Wow, that's cool. Now we can all talk dog crap all day. Oh, your doggy's so cute, so George. Look at him. It's just so stupid. And this here, me doing what I do. Is there something wrong with me? Of course there is. But why don't you let God deal with that? All my life I was taught I was no good. I was ugly. I was four eyes. I was a freak. I was a nerd. I was a geek. I was a loser. I was carrot top. And now I'm proud of my body, and that's wrong. Everything I do is wrong. My hair is too short. My hair is too long. The glasses are thick. Why don't you get contacts? Why don't you do this? Why don't y'all shut up? My gosh. Go up and tell a guy, you look better without a wheelchair. You look better without a walker. You look better without a cane. A beautiful Asian woman came up. You look better without your glasses, Mike. I like you better without glasses. That's it. There you go. I like you better without this. Which means, translated, I am not accepted. The Bible says something that my pastor in Duluth used to tell me, and I need to remind myself of it. It says, wherein he has made you accepted in the beloved. What does that mean? I was adopted, and the adoption didn't work out so well. My mother was abusive. My mother was a tyrant. And I know I was reminded by one of the owners of the company, I couldn't deal with you. He said, you're part of this team and you're a brother in Christ, and I do respect you. But if there were two of you, it would be too much. That has a negative connotation with me, because that's all I've been told all my life. You talk too much, you never shut up. My sister would make fun of me. Oh, here's the song for Michael in the truck. Dad would laugh. My dad used to call me the butter bandito and make fun of me because of all the food I ate. My dad was fat, overweight. He was not gifted with handsome. Not my real dad anyway. I didn't have their genes. And for two people that adopted me, the criticism I got, I'm like, I'm not your genetics. There's music. When I hear certain pieces of music, music takes me somewhere. I think a lot of women today like shitty music, pardon me. But I like music that makes me drift off into another world. This crap that you hear on the streets today, this the N-word, the F-word, and attitude. I don't want a woman like that. That's not a lady. Ladies don't listen to music like that. I'm sorry, but we do have to bring 2026 back to the Ancient of Days. Yeah, I know. People say, well, grown men don't dress the way you do. You're right. You're absolutely right. But guess what? You're wrong, too, because there's grown men dressing like this. Why are they doing it? It's because they're all fruitcakes? There was a guy at the fire department in Virginia. I didn't meet him, but I met his wife. She had a hole-in-the-wall bookstore. We went in there one day, and she didn't waste any time. Yeah, I married the guy at the fire department, and we divorced, and he likes dressing up in girl clothes. And I looked at her. She was attractive, but she was high maintenance, and I thought, yeah, if she's good looking, sex would be good one time. That's it, one time. One shop, stop, done, you're done. And women have a hard time understanding what makes men do this. Do you know why I started going to the park? I couldn't get a date. Jody would tease and flirt with me at Highland Plasma. Cute blonde. She was slender and cute. But no, she had a boyfriend, but she liked to tease me. I wasn't worthy enough to go out with her. And I saw that in Duluth, and it took me years to finally realize Michael is not going to get a date with any of the good-looking university students. So what do you think happened when I went to Hong Kong and all these beautiful women are pawing at me in karaoke? Naturally pretty, small-breasted women, petite, long, silky black hair, smelling good, brown skin. I'm like, oh, I just died and went to girl heaven. Look at my channel. Look at the women that have flirted and play cutesy and get on Discord and then poof, ghosted. There's a little black spot in the sun today. I have to work harder than anybody else. My channel doesn't pull in money. Somebody kindly donated a little bit the other day, and I appreciate that. They'll pay the guy with the toilet seat, Ice Cream Man Seth. They pay the Ewu kids. They're divorced and blown apart now. You got these women on OnlyFans. Now she's arrested for murder, and her parents too. Because she told her mother she killed him and mom didn't do anything. Oops. And it's sick. Not one of you men will condemn these women. Christians too, getting on OnlyFans. Hey guys. And they're doing all that. And that's okay with you, because you're all pigs. But when I dress this way, oh my gosh. We need the Nazi war crime trials right now. Michael Nelson has committed unpardonable offenses, atrocious behavior. He ran Auschwitz. He ran Birkenau. He killed 6 million people. What is with humanity and their obsession with the petty? And this is revealed in psychology. One man admitted, I'm jealous of you, of the freedom that you have to be who you are. People have admitted to me that they're too scared of what others think. I know that. I'm not anymore. I don't care if somebody in Augusta or my son or anybody sees me with lipstick. I don't care. They didn't care enough to invest in my life ever. Or respect, ever. It doesn't matter. I can't even please God in and of myself. That is why I became a Christian. I knew I'm going to hell. I knew it. And I got saved because I knew that I can't earn God's favor. My mother pounded it into my head. I'm guilty. I'm a bad boy. I'm bad. I'm bad. Am I ever at peace with myself? Not always. Am I ever at peace with everybody in society? Not always. Look at what happened 4 weeks ago with a woman that wanted me to sit next to her in church. I did show her my channel. I thought, we're going to lose this woman fast now. And she said, well, I kind of struggle with the way you're dressed in feminine clothing. I said, well, I'll just do it to be fun. But she doesn't struggle with having a wrong belief where she feels that a Christian man should be wealthy. That's not even biblical. The apostles did not model any of that. And you can't talk to her because most women in the society, you cannot correct them. I'd be more worried about that, guys, than what Michael's wearing on his channel. The lights are way down because of the way I'm dressed. I don't care if men are attracted to me. I think it's freeing when a man can be honest with himself and a woman and God. You can't help what you feel. Doesn't mean you should act on it all the time. But I want to say it again. Men cannot give me what I need. But when I was in Colorado, I'd meet somebody online who was offering to give a massage. I went to a nice guy. He had a nice 1920s antique house. Beautiful. I laid down on a massage table naked. He gave me the best back massage I ever had in Colorado. It was hot. It was good. And I'm not gay. But guess what? Trying to get a date with a woman is like trying to pull the Titanic up with the same string that holds that little red rubber ball, the old paddle toys that we had as a kid. It ain't gonna happen. And so I've drifted into my private world of fantasy. I like to dress sensually. It arouses me. I like the feeling. I like the feeling of satiny women's clothes. It's hot. I wish I could get paid to model stuff. I wish I could actually have a fun job that I like. I wish I could have an easy job making good money doing what I wanted. I wish I could model women's fashion. I would love that. Why? Because I work hard at a warehouse. I'm 60. Women can just sit there with their tots hanging out and get the front desk position and be in the manager's lap and they got it made. I would like to experience some of that privilege. Not with a man, but I'd love to have that kind of privilege. Now, men are not treated the same as women. That is simply an atrocious lie. Women can have beauty, have nothing to do with themselves, and they get the e-ticket on all the e-rides at Disneyland. Not us. I like dressing feminine. I like putting on the lipstick. I'd like to put on the mascara. I like some of the women that look kind of whorish with the blue and the orange eyeliner or the mascara up here and kind of gaudy but so cute. I like that. I tried to live my life so rigid. I used to get very upset as a Christian that women would dress inappropriately in the church. And they were the stuck-up, rude ones. Now I don't even pay attention to it. It's like, Christian women, come on, waste of time. These ones in the church are to be avoided. And Jenny get on the internet or on the phone and tell me about wealth and tell me that she's read the Bible and it changed her thinking. I don't know what Bible you're reading. And you're talking about Abraham, you're talking about Old Testament saints that had wealth. That does not mean it's the will of God for us to be wealthy and define wealthy. And when I told her what I make for an hour, well, it's been nice talking to you. Good. Flush that. If my value is tied up to what I make or what clothes I wear or what car I drive, what's love got to do with it? What's love? Most marriages in the church, most marriages out of the church are not based on a woman loving a man, but it's what she gets. It's the paycheck. And I've lived long enough to see that most of the marriages in America stay together because the man is afraid to be taken to the cleaners. So they go to the steam bath and check out other men because it's safe. I feel for those guys. At least they're honest with themselves. They don't have good sex. They live with a very difficult woman. And they're in an age that they divorce her, they're going to lose everything. I love it when women say society's sexist. They're correct in favor of them. Men make more. No, they don't. How many men can do it? If I was to do an OnlyFans channel, you think I'd get $10? If you had a woman with my body style, flat chest, you get on OnlyFans, you can make $30,000 a month. Don't tell me that there isn't a wage discrepancy. If I was down on hard luck and down on the street, no hot-looking woman with money is going to bring me in and nurse me back to life. But if a beautiful woman's down on hard time, there will be 99 million men saying, you can live with me, I'll take care of you. Oh, yeah. So I don't care what people think about the way I'm dressed. I don't think I need to. It's a very dangerous society. Tyler Robinson shot and killed and assassinated like a coward Charlie Kirk because he got butthurt because somebody dared to criticize the lifestyle he's in. And there is something wrong with you if you can believe that the guy you're with is a girl when he's a guy. I'm man enough to admit some this right here, that's Katie. That is a guy that cross-dresses. Now, you may think I'm nuts, different strokes for different folks. That guy does it pretty good. Many would say, oh, that's gross, ew. I will say something. We're such a screwed up world today that if that guy was nice to me, yeah, I'd probably kiss on that. Cute eyes. The lipstick looks nice. Cute hair. And people look at me, oh my gosh, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with the women? I can't get a woman that looks like that. Not in this world. I could go to Manila. I could be there less than a week and I'd have any number of girls wanting to be my girlfriend. Vietnam, Hong Kong, going to the provinces of China. But no, Can't do that. I cannot be with a man. But some feminine men, they do a pretty good job. Not all. Most of them are a failure at it. You can tell they're dudes. I believe this one is South American. And for me to be honest, that's a no-no today. But meanwhile, we got a girl of these two parents that murdered her boyfriend. She's an OnlyFans. Why a guy would date a girl doing OnlyFans is beyond me. That's how simp men are. They all just want their turn. A black guy at work told me Friday, the way I look at most of these women, Mike, I just want my turn and go on. Me? I really don't want to put my dipstick in somebody else's dipstick tube that all the other guys put their dipstick in it. That whole thing is gross to me. But I am 60. I'm not going to find a virgin because I'm not. Why don't I date a feminine man with long hair, smooth, clean, wears makeup? Might be fun. The fantasy is exciting and intoxicating. The reality is I couldn't do it. They're going to smell like a guy. They'll have to work harder at masking that. I want a girl, but you can't have that. God says it's not good for man to be alone. What is society doing to us? They're putting us out there on a shelf. Women are trying to say toxic masculinity, and there is. I'll agree with them. There is a toxic masculinity. Not the way the feminists say it, but the guys in their twat that want to cuss me out and there's something wrong with it, I can kick your ass. That's toxic masculinity. That's not well-adjusted males. There's a man that came to the steam bath. I failed to remember his name. Short hair, a few years older than me. He was solid muscle, very good-looking man. And he was fascinated when I went to Manila in 2018. I showed him pictures, and he would tell me that he'd go upstairs to the gym at the Wheatwood Rec Center. We sit in the hot tub in the steam room. And he saw me massaging the backs of several women that came up and asked, will you give me a back and neck rub? I was massaging women in that steam bath that were 10s, some of them, not all. And men were walking there like, oh my gosh, Mike's got it going on. We're not having sex. We're not going on a date. They just asked me to massage them. One was extremely beautiful. And she was into New Age weird stuff. This guy said, you know, the women are so stuck up. I just say, hey, how long you been lifting? And she'd say, quit trying to hit on me. He said, Mike, what's... And I said, I actually have a channel on YouTube talking about Western women. I said, it's a mess. He told me, he says, you ought to come work out with me. He says, you are good looking and you're fit. He said, you've got a good platform. I said, I'm not really into that. And before I left, I told him I was moving to Georgia, and he said, you know, I don't live with anybody. I have a 2-bedroom apartment. He said, I would sub-rent that other bedroom to you because I've gotten to know you and you're a decent guy. And if I was to sit here and tell you I had some feelings towards him, he was a good-looking guy. And again, I couldn't date a guy. Would I have laid next to him naked in a bed just to try? Absolutely. And people say, wait, I thought you said you're not gay. I'm not. But when you have a society where women are no longer normal, as per definition 50, 80, 100 years ago, look at the women in the Democrat Party. But not just them. Look at Kristi Noem. We all believed in her. She's no shame. Brazen face screwing around with somebody in the government. Do you think that that affects her in any way? She's got the upper hand in the divorce. She's got money rolling in. I think it's sick. Women have privilege in the U.S. more than any other ethnicity. White women have privilege at the top of the pack in America. I will go on record saying that. Caucasian women can get away with much more. Yeah, you got black entitled ones too. Western women in general have that entitlement coursing through their veins. They look at us like meat in the meat market. Nah, that's no good. I'm a Christian. I don't want a gay relationship. Were there times at the steam bath that I felt an attraction towards another man just because he had a good-looking, clean, hairless, smooth body? Absolutely. Some of them were beautiful. And sometimes I felt an erotic rush when they were looking at me saying, dang. I'm like, this guy is built like a Baywatch guy. Could get any girl he wants, and he's looking at me. Wow. I've noticed something about lipstick lesbians. Women are very emotional. They're very feelings-based. And when they experience another woman, it's over. They're done with us. Women are very easily manipulated right out of normal into subnormal. Me, I could not be in a gay relationship. When I get very aroused, the thought of doing something naked, but after the orgasm, my mind is, no, glad I didn't do it in the real. Like I was talking to somebody on Discord, we have the thoughts and the fantasy's awesome, but real life, no. And Christians, they want to pretend and play little games, and they want to play marriage, and they want to play house, and they want to play church, and they go to church, I'm doing well! Oh, you're full of crap, buddy. Those are what I call the spackies. Corporate America has produced a generation of spackies, the corporate spacky, the fake professional talk, the look down your nose thinking you're more macho because you wear a suit and tie. It's a sad little boy world out there, and I don't fit in it. This world sucks. And if God told me that my days are numbered, which they are, I'd be jumping up and down like Daffy Duck. I want to go to heaven. Why? To be free from me, to be free from my sex drive, to be free from my impure thoughts, to be free from the struggle of just to get up every day and go to a job and try to maintain some certain degree of Christian decorum. Sometimes I just want to be a male slut, and I can't. I do not follow the Christian societal, cultural norms of what it is to be a Christian. You are either saved or you're not. And I am saved bona fide. The rub comes in when people see my channel, they see what I do, and they're like, Mike, what are you doing? Dude, what are you doing? Well, but I can throw it back. I'm glad you don't have the struggle I have. I'm glad you don't have sexual feelings like I have. I'm glad that you haven't been through what I've been through. So that being said, when you quote scripture and you do all this, that isn't going to say, oh, you're right. You quoted Deuteronomy 22:5. You're right. I'm going to take off all this stuff and, yeah, better not do that. I tried that. I burn barreled a couple times, wasted some really good clothing that I regret now. If I ever do have a girlfriend and she at least borrow clothes if she's short on clothing, heck, there's a 2-for-1 deal here. I don't care what people think of me. What I need to care about is what God thinks. And if I can't do that, well, we got problems. Big problems. I have noticed that people follow rules because they care about what others think more than the Lord. We fear the rejection of bosses, pastors, Christians, our wife, our husband, whatever, side of the fence you're on. If you're a male and you got a wife, or you're female and got a husband, our kids. Do we fear God as much as that? And the answer, if we're honest, is categorically no. God, we have a personal relationship, but human that we are, we don't see him. We see other people. And we know that someday we'll go to heaven, and that's where we camp it. I am not conventional. You guys ever looked at Woody Allen? Woody Allen is a strange dude. He was in acting. He was in a movie called Sleeper. And that movie was filmed, part of it was a house up on Genesee, and I used to drive the bus up off the interstate, off I-70, into Genesee. We take the kids up to Genesee to see the buffalo and to learn some outdoor stuff. And I would be asked to stop the bus where to our left on another flank of the mountain was that UFO house that Woody Allen was in the movie of. Foxes had lived in there for years. It sat abandoned. It's a weird looking house. It looks like a folded over taco. It was built by the same guy that built a bank down in Inglewood, down in the city, south of Denver. Same style. Woody Allen had adopted, was it Mia Farrow? I got to remember this. He had a wife, Mia. He ended up marrying the daughter. If that isn't strange. To my knowledge, they were quite happily married. And it's a weird situation because though it's not his blood daughter, it's amazing that Hollywood can do all kinds of weird and unusual things, and people may make comments. But even Christians have been so affected by Hollywood. You had a lady getting on my channel that I call Silly Rabbit, making comments that I should not be talking about the death penalty as a Christian. Really? Jesus talked about it. Let he who is without sin cast the first stone. Jesus did not disagree with the law that the woman caught in adultery should be stoned, but he said, okay. You know what's interesting is that Christians do the same thing that the Pharisees did. They didn't like that woman. They wanted to put her out there. Where was the man who committed adultery with her? Why wasn't he brought there? Why? Did you ever think about that? The man, she had to have sex with somebody. Why was he not brought there? For the same reason in Islam why the woman's stoned and the men aren't. Sexism. The Pharisees were a joke. They devalued women back then. Now, women have more worth and value than we do. They've even said we don't need men. Wow. This corporate world sucks. I remember when I lived in Aurora, Colorado. I hated it out there. It's nothing but traffic. Big intersections. I walked and took the bus, and I'm telling you, it's dangerous. Cars don't yield for you when you got the walk light. It's crazy. All these strip malls and strip businesses and everybody burning up their money and getting in debt for the SUV. You listen to the commercials. We can put you in a new house. We can put you in a new car. That, and more debt. Yeah, this is the American way. And everybody's stressed and everybody's yucky. And you go to these big cities and it's crazy. There's no peace. I don't like the world anymore. I want to stop it and I want to get off. Am I weird? Am I strange? Yeah, 100%. Did I tell you the truth? Absolutely. Why do girls play games with the heart? They do it all the time. Girls even wrote a song. Who do you think you are, collecting your jar of hearts? Excuse me, women, you're doing that more than I've ever done it to women. You do it all day long. Some of my people on my channel do it. Oh, I would so date you. Oh, I'd so like you. I want to get to know you. Yeah, right. How many ladies later have I heard that from? And there's discord and no response. It's like the EKG graph. Doop, doop, doop. That one's gone. Doop, that one's gone. That one's gone. And that's okay. I'm glad it shows itself for what it is. Less time to be wasted. So, yeah. I've just touched on something. Michael lives in his own private hell, his own private struggle, that you cannot deliver me from. I think most gay men that act gay are very gay and very weird, and I want nothing to do with that. But I met other men that are normal, down to earth, nice, kinder than most women. I'm not normal anymore. I can look at a picture of two pretty women kissing each other, and I find it's extremely beautiful. And unfortunately, this is what the world looks like to me. It's all a lie. It's all a scam. That's what the car ads look like. All these consumeristic shite that's trying to get you to buy this stuff and get in debt for it is nothing but sea monkeys. People lie through their teeth to sell something. Money is God in this country. And it sucks when you don't have it. You want a hot-looking woman? You better have piles of money. The only reason I want money is so that I can have choices. And that's exactly why God doesn't make me rich. Because I do have free will, and God allows me, I didn't say He can notice it, He allows me to dress this way. But He does not allow me anymore to just say, well, I'm going to move here and I'm going to go there. Oh no. He's got the hedge wall high up. He does. Did you ever stop and think about this guy? What made this guy get to this point? Our society says, oh, what a fruitcake. Oh my God. What made him get there? Do you have any compassion? Do we have any compassion? I think he's kind of cute. He could probably run his fingers through my hair and be sweet on me like a woman. Got cute eyes. I could look at those eyes and kiss on those lips. Cute. You get with most of these women today, they're not cute. They're a nightmare. They're a headache. They're a liability. And no, I say it all the time, I'm not gay. Femioz constantly attacks my channel. I would not, even in a wrong mood, get with him. He's not attractive on any level. He's full of hatred and venom. He's a woke generation putz. Augusta is not the place for me to try certain social experiments simply because a lot of undesirables here. But I did do something, and I'll talk about it, and I have to couch it in terminology so as not to get out of bounds here, but there was a man at Highlands Ranch, Colorado. He was a ski instructor. And I was feeling in one of my moods, and I got on Craigslist, and first of all, there's different levels of a curiosity. You have to understand that. Most people think of gay, and they think of two people doing anal. And that's not the case. Those are what I call hardcore, flaming gay people. Elton John. And I want to stop right there. Have you noticed how women just love Elton John? Why? He's talented. I've never liked his music. My sister listened to Betty and the Jets. Women swoon over Elton John. Elton John was not gifted with handsome. He's not sexy. He's not buff. He could easily look like a Karen. And women love the stuff out of Elton John. George Michael's, Boy George was over the top weird. When I was in high school, I liked Boy George and George Michael's Wham, but now I don't. Because I find myself saying, oh, that's gay. So there's a dichotomy in me. What I like is a person who's real. Most men I do not and never would find attractive. Never. They're not. Hair all over their butt, hair all over their chest, hair under their arms, sweaty, gross. Most guys are one-dimensional people to me. One-dimensional. They're just dumb. I look at Augusta wherever I go, it doesn't matter what town I go to in America, you got your twat geeks. They can be 50, 60 years old. They can be 20. I'm a man. I'm a man. No, you're a little boy with a giant baby toy. And the black males, same thing. Little boys. I see them as the ones marking their territory like a dog pissing on every fence in the neighborhood. N-word, boom. If you could stand outside of yourself and look at how ridiculous that is, it would blow you away. That's not music. That's Neanderthal. You're disrespecting everybody in their homes. You take stupid to the highest level possible. Women buying a new car with the cheap factory stereo, and you can hear the and there's stupid music, and you're like, well, these people all think they define cool. Your music sucks, your car sucks, you suck. Congratulations. I want something deeper. I can't find it in American culture. So I went to Hong Kong. I tried to find myself in Hong Kong. I wore a medallion around my chest, had my shirt off almost all the time, out in public. I tried a ladyboy. I tried a cross-dresser. And I tried at least 10 women while I was over there in the space of a year. The only regret I have is being disobedient to God. None of them could fill the hole that is Michael. Did I make some good love with some women? Absolutely. Absolutely. I came back to the U.S. I have not made good love since, except one. Her name was Vicky. Colorado. I was walking around Crown Hill Lake, flat-chested woman with shoulder-length black hair, simple-looking gal. She kept smiling. We passed each other 7 or 8 times. I came down there once. This time she turned around and followed me. I would need to ask you something. She was married. She had an autistic kid, and she had a son. The little boy was worse than the autistic kid. The autistic kid could entertain himself, but she said, I've asked him to leave and I'm getting a divorce. So she wanted to see me, and I saw her, and I said, I cannot take care of your kids. And yes, she told me to my face, can you come over and make love to me? That was one of the hottest women in this side of the country, this side of the world, that I ever made love with. It was nice. We were all hot and sweaty, and it was awesome. No smelly. But I can't find a woman like that who's available, who's single. She rocked my world, and I rocked hers. She wanted a man to be the cash cow with her and her 2 kids, and I said, honey, no. I don't want to raise children. I made love to her. We talk about naughty. One night we were so wound up, we went in the 3-foot prairie grass in the park off the trail where the moon was out and just far enough from the path. And I laid her down and did her good. You know, you can't have passion in this culture. So people live in a movie. They go and see the movie. The movies are all the same thing. That intense music, and if you look at movies long enough, it's like, they're all the same. They're all the same. Michael Jackson was sleeping with 12-year-old boys. Somebody on Discord was saying, well, you know, I like Michael Jackson, blah, 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 blah. Okay, hold on. Michael doesn't sleep with 12-year-old girls or 12-year-old boys. But you know, it really screws with your mind. When I went to Kobe's or whatever in Tampa, my buddy's teen daughter was having a teen birthday, and the 9-year-old was sitting on my right, and she was getting upset and started making a scene in the restaurant, and I said, hey, stop. It's your sister's birthday, your dad's going to get mad at you, now stop. We sat down at a table, and to the next to me, there's this beautiful woman, and I think it's her husband. I can tell they're South American or something. The woman starts talking up a storm to me. Very intelligent, drop dead gorgeous. Have you ever eaten here before? I said, no. I said, my friend. She goes, you're going to love it. This place is great. We come here often. As we're talking, I said, so what does your husband do? She laughed. She goes, that's my dad. I'm 15. I thought this woman was in her 30s. Oh my gosh. She had a more mature conversation with me than any 40-year-old, 50-year-old woman ever would in America. And the woman was smart. She was well-heeled and cultured. And I found myself going, oh my gosh, I'd love to date her. 15? And even my friend said, boy, you were having a heck of a good conversation with that pretty woman. Wasn't that her husband? I said, no, that was his daughter. What? 15, dude. Oh my gosh. I didn't tell him what I just told you. You get involved with most women in this country, you're going to have problems because they're a mess. And they'll say, well, so are men. Yeah, we are. But at least I'm cultured. At least I've been around the block. At least I've seen things beyond this. At least I can say I served in other toilet bowls, not just this one. I need God, but I'm human. And somewhere there's an unwritten rule in evangelical Christian culture that I'm not allowed to be that. Paul Washer would judge me profusely. Paul Washer's not a man of love. I cannot imagine Paul and his wife having a sweet, awesome, passionate, sensual relationship. I think most Christian marriages are an absolute joke. I get so tired of preachers when they get up there and are so contrived. Well, you know, God likes sex if it's in the confines of marriage. Wow, will you need to be told that? Yeah, it's tough. I'm sorry to say this, but I'm going to give some contrast. That one was petite, skinny, dressed like a lady, sat next to me in church. You know, one thing I do when I'm in church is I want to hear the sermon. I don't like it when women are sitting there going, and then you really chaps my butt when I'm watching the choir do it. Pastor's talking and the women are going, I want to point and go, shh. Listen to him. Shut it. You think you're being sneaky. You're facing the church and you're all up there going, women are dumb. And I watched women. I watched the choir director's wife come up with her, she got a damn coffee cup this tall with a straw. All this acting bullshit in a church. And then when the pastor's trying to say something important there, it's like, are these women really godly? Are they even listening to what the pastor's saying? They're just impressed with themselves. Yep, there you go. But this Jenny sits next to me. She's cute. And I'm sorry, I'm human. She leans in to say something, and I'm like, ooh, what's that smell? I mean, that stinks. You come to church with breath like that? Hong Kong did not corrupt me. It opened up my eyes to who I am. I experienced things, as I say, what goes on in Hong Kong stays in Hong Kong. But when I came back to the U.S., it was not the same. I took care of an elder couple's estate for 7 years, and that was not without its problems. She was a contentious, argumentative, nagging woman to her husband. I'd come home from work driving the bus. I'd walk in the door. I'd hear, oh, Ann. And she's tearing into him for something. You talk about crazy. Now, Jim, I bought these 15 potted plants and I need to get them in the ground. You bought them today, they're going to be all right. Mike is off on the weekend and he will help you do it. Well, I need them in there today. I'm like, wow, this woman is a piece of work. She had her husband on a strict diet, wouldn't let him eat any fun food, Then she'd go make an angel food upside down cake or whatever, and be sitting there just shoveling it in her mouth. I said, really, Ann? She goes, I know I'm bad. I said, but he can't have it, but you're wolfing us down, complaining about, wow. I came home from work one day, opened the cupboard and took the saucepan out. Swear she had them. I don't want that back in there. I said, excuse me? This has been in there since I moved here. I don't want it in there. Where do you want it? I want it down there. Okay. And don't make a mess of the stove. When did I make a mess of the stove? I said, Ann, I come in and I clean up your spilled over meat and fried whatever you did. Well, I got my Christian Women's Club. This is no joke. My Christian Women's Club comes on Tuesday and I want the house a mess. I said, if I ever made a mess in here, never. I don't use your living room. I use my bedroom, my bathroom, and that back room to do my internet. And I don't even make a mess. The woman was batshit crazy. I dated Sharon, the Korean woman. I don't like her. I said, what'd she ever do to you? She's always, I don't like her. But then she liked Mia, my friend who used everybody. I wish you and Mia could date. I said, yeah, I've tried, but she likes to use people. She mooches off everybody. But she would do dusting and stuff for Ann. Ann was a cantankerous Christian. Her daughter told me that when she was young, she was in high school, she had very pasty white skin. And her mother would chase her around the yard saying, you're ugly, your skin's too white, you're ugly. Well, as I got to know Ann was molested by a black maid because her father was rich and did something in India. And when I dated a black woman and I brought her by, I had brought people by, it was no problem, but when I brought this black woman, we stopped by the house. Ann and her daughter from East Denver were there, and I said, hey, this is Pamela. And we just stopped, and I need to use the bathroom, and then we're going to go to the movies. I got home that night and said, I don't want you bringing these women to the house. I said, excuse me? They don't stay in here. She goes, well, I don't know if they're going to rob. I said, are you saying that because she's black? I said, what is in here that Pamela is going to take? Do you know anything about their culture? There's nothing in this living room that even remotely interests her. And how's she going to get it out of here? That woman was tough to deal with. And then Andrew did a video in Hong Kong to Pacific I Win. You talked about the Woodwards. You talked about this. Yeah, it's called freedom of speech, bro. And you're talking about me for 11 years. Who's got the problem here? When I had my former channel, that taught me something about people. My former Pacific Ocean Asia channel, I took the channel down and I'd be gone for a while. Then I'd start a new one. Andrew would show up, threaten, you better take your channel down. He tried to get me in trouble twice with my employer at transportation, making false accusations. One of the guys, when they just started doing lives, and they were different than they are right now, he's saying, I'm making a website for you, and we're going to stand up against this guy. And we've been talking for weeks. Then Andrew shows up in the room. I said, that's him. None of them would say anything to him. None of them. I wrote him and I said, why are you not standing up? Well, there's nothing I can do. I shut that channel down. And Andrew had the audacity to write me, none of your fans are going to defend you. The guy is a creep. And I draw attention to this because he wants attention, but he doesn't put his place out there or where he works, but yet he'll find out everything about me. How come alarm bells aren't going off to most people that this is out of line? Why is YouTube not doing one damn thing about a physical death or physical harm threat video that still stands? And people come on my channel worried about the clothing I'm wearing. When I say there's something wrong with our society, I'm dead accurate. And I'm man enough to admit that I've been so discouraged. I live in a predominantly black culture. You think that there isn't some neurosis that comes from living in a place like this? You better damn well believe it. I'm not going to go to church today and feel the love of God there. Not going to happen. I don't feel it with my employer. I don't feel it on the roads. Most women out there, they want to have sex whether they're a Christian or not. They're going to go and have sex whether they're a Christian or not. They want to drink a beer, smoke a pot, do whatever they want, they're gonna. But me, I wear clothes. Oh my God. Let's have Nazi war crime trials. What is going on with people? You know, at least I'm not sitting there rubbing one out in front of you guys. That might be fun though. Never tried it. This is how stupid our world is. Yes, I'm a Christian, but I'm not packaged the way you want me to. You watch too much TV, dude. You think you got to buy this car, buy that house, wear that suit. I don't buy that car. I didn't buy the house. I don't wear that suit. Syncretism. I have joined the CCP. You will be just like you and me. That's our society is no different than the Communist Party. You will buy the same things, you'll dress the same. I'm doing well. You answer the same, you act the same, you play the game. And when somebody doesn't, crucify him. No, I'm not Jesus. But you do that as a society. That weird kid in the back of the class that isn't bothering nobody. Everybody in that school gang up on him for no reason. If you're honest and make yourself vulnerable, they think you're weak. And like wolves, they want to sink their fangs into you. And they're the ones throwing out all the insults and saying, there's something wrong with you, and that you're aggressively trying to intimidate and harass me for being honest. You're the communist. You're the ADOLPH. You're the Gestapo, not me. Matahari was one of the sexiest women ever back in the day. But she was a spy for the Nazis. If Matahari, a woman looked like her today, came onto me, I'd be done. Matahari was hot. She was sensual, she's beautiful, she wore like belly dancing stuff. Look at what women are wearing today. Spandex sport bras, ball caps. Women exude zero passion. Oh, did you go to Chick-fil-A? Oh, did you go to Starbucks? Oh, did you sit in your SUV and eat junk food all day? What an awesome relationship I could have with the women in our culture. Boring. Mike, turn hard to starboard. You're about to hit the reef. Yes, Captain. There's only one place left for me to go where I can finally get away from all my troubles, and that's home. I'm not going to pull my channel down because of some damn trolls. Andrew was successful at that because I lived in fear. And I finally said, we're done. I'm going to trust in God. I'm going to be who I am. To hell with Andrew, and that's where he is going. He rejects Christ as Savior. He embraces harassment and violence and death threats. And Google doesn't do anything. If you think social media and the secular world is your friend, it isn't. They strain at gnats and they swallow camels. That's crazy. When I was in Hong Kong, a guy was standing outside. It was so hot, early morning, dark. It was raining, and my shorts on, no t-shirt. And a lady with a parasol walked by, Chinese lady, beautiful. Looked at me in the high heels. I'm like, wow, she looked at me. You know, I have a naive view of the world. A little bit later, she came by again. Went down the alley, across the other alley, and I walked into a door, and I said, oh, she lived there. I was involved with this woman. She was asleep upstairs. That was a disaster. I went all the way over there for Beth, and that was nothing but a fail. She disappeared up the stairs with a big iron door with dragons on it. I see a light come on, opens the window and sits with one leg out in a slit down the side of the dress and is waving at me. I'm like, well, I'll be dang, that door's open. I'm going up there. I went up, guessed which floor she was on. I go down the hall and there's door. I'm like, great, which one is hers? Then a note slides under the door. My name is Joan. I'm a cross-dresser. Do you want to? That's a cross-dresser? Makeup. I walked in. He took my glasses off, set them down. I embraced, we kissed passionately. I got lost in it. I said, what made you become this way? He told me a little bit about Chinese society. He said, I've always been curious to wear women's clothes, and, you know, I've always been kind of I'm into engineering and stuff, but we did not have sex. But we got passionate. It was exhilarating. It was wrong, but it was exhilarating. And I've experienced some things like that. I went to a guy's house in Highlands Ranch. He was one of those that would be saying, I'm doing well in the professional world. He was a professional. The suit and tie, the whole thing. This is not somebody, if you saw him stand next to me, you would not see this as a fit for a friendship. He was muscular, he was a ski instructor, but he was also a corporate guy. He'd gone through a divorce. I had responded to an ad on Craigslist. You could tell. All the feminine bedspreads and everything, and I had all my mahjong bracelets on, and he laid down and I got on his chest and sat on him, and yeah. It's funny that our female, our Christian, our male society, they don't have any knowledge or any discernment or anything to even try to assess what could make me go there or that guy go there or anything else. They just go, gross, It's the same concept as kids getting into gangs. When you don't feel acceptance, when you don't feel valued and somebody validates you and reaffirms you, I'm going in. I could not have a day-to-day relationship. Again, men are different. But I looked at Jenny, she's cute. She got bad breath, and then she's telling me that a Christian man needs to be wealthy, and that she made it a point to tell me, we don't run in the same circles. I know we don't. And I don't want to run in yours. It's boring. And I saw the man at church who wouldn't look me in the eye, that was talking to you. You'd be a step up for him, but you marry him, he's got 1 foot on a banana peel and 1 foot in the grave. You know, I finally arrived at a point, I don't need a woman so bad that I'm going to suck up to that. Because just like women say, I don't need a man, I don't need a woman. I do want a woman, but that's denied me. Then you start getting to know some of these women, and they've got all these problems that make it impossible to have a reasonable relationship. So guess what? I learned over the years, don't even look at marriage. And churches spend so much time condemning porn, lust, and masturbation. And I want to stand up and say, so Pastor, what are we left to do? We can't have sex before marriage, outside of marriage. Most people in here are in a miserable marriage playing an acting game. Leave the masturbation alone. That's not hurting anybody in here. Pleasuring oneself solves a lot of problems. I didn't go out and bump somebody. I didn't get them pregnant. I didn't get a VD. I see it as a win-win. Oh, the thinks you can think. And yes, sometimes even now I have that mood like, gosh, I wouldn't mind being a little bit sensual with that. Women have trained us. Society's retooling us. They say engineers are doing it. I don't know if I believe all that. It's funny, though, that women can embrace lesbianism and society doesn't look down on that as much as they would look down on me if I wanted to go gay. I'm not gay. That's not in me. Are there times I've been aroused by another man? Yes. Did I enjoy it? Yes. Did I do all that stuff that's associated with the homosexual thing? No. This one here, it'd just be fun to make out passionately and skin to skin. The lipstick and the eyes are cute. It'd be fun. It's taboo. I have a friend in Cleveland I can talk. He went and lived in Hong Kong, and he's been through much of the same stuff I had. 20 years younger than me. Wisdom beyond his years. He's currently involved with an Afghani woman, on again, off again, and he's really into her. And he's the only one that I can talk to that he went to Hong Kong and he experienced a couple ladyboys. We've openly talked about it. He said, I have never had a white woman look at me in the U.S. He's a college graduate. He's got a degree. when Tina was here, had a man come over to the house from leaf filter, the gutters. I needed gutters on the left and right of the back room eave. 17 feet each side. How you doing, Mr. Nelson? I'm okay, you? Well, I'm doing well. Well, yep, we got our leaf guarantee for life. Leaves don't get in. Well, I don't need that. I just need regular gutters. I see you have no trees. Okay. He said, well, were you in the military? No. Were you this? No. Well, I'm going to apply some discounts. We can do that for $2,700. $2,700 for 2 gutters installed on a straightaway on both sides? Dude, that's too much. I have to work hard for $2,700. And I got to spend that much for a damn gutter install? The corporate world is destroying us. It's zapping away our income. The taxes are going up. The government officials are blowing it out of their butt cheeks. And people are more worried about the clothing I have on than any of that. I don't get it. And I'll be honest, there are times I'm in a mood. I'd love to tongue kiss those lips. At least he did it good. I can't tongue kiss a good looking woman in America. That's not going to happen. I tell you what, it's weird. I go to church because it's an expectation. And I'm glad I do, because the message always applies to me. I can't share in that church what I'm sharing with you. I wouldn't even try. They'd be mortified. Mortified. I love how people in America, in the South, in the North, they'll look at me, they'll see the glasses, see my hair, and they got this little opinion of me, and they have no idea about my colorful, illustrated history of Michael Nelson and what I've been through. They would be shocked. If I could put on a screen my life, there'd be a lot of rated X stuff in there. Life is interesting. These two came into my life. They bought that dresser, took me to lunch. I became friends. He comes into the chat periodically. After long silence, I don't get a text anymore. Everything reinforces over and over. I'm not wanted. And I think, what did I do? When I use the term friend, I have to tell myself, stop saying people are your friends. They're not. This is 2026. Friendship and love and heart don't exist anymore. But we sure got a lot of hate. We sure got a lot of that, don't we? When around this time last year, Tina announced that her mother bought a house an hour from here, I was devastated. To have a woman that I wasn't sitting with, a real friend at that time, what an empty hole rushed into my life when she walked out the door for the last time. Then I lost my job, had to sell the truck. Then went to buy another truck, lost that and the friend. I'm afraid. I'm afraid to make any rash decision anymore. Sometimes I've said, God, why does life seem to work against me? I know I'm not perfect. Then you got people come on here and say, well, that's because of the clothing you're wearing. Oh, God's superstitious like that. What about my friend? Tonight, or Saturday, she goes and sleeps at the boyfriend's house. She's a Christian. She's singing in the choir and became members of the church. If the pastor knew she was doing that, she'd be excommunicated. Why is it the women sin it's okay? I mean, I don't judge her. She's human. She wants to be loved. She had an interest in me. I didn't have an interest in her that way. And people say, maybe because you're gay. No, I'm not. Tina looked like she could be my mom. She looked much older than me, and she's 6 years younger than me. The people down here in the South don't age well. I lived in enough frozen climate that when you live in the freezer, it preserves your skin longer than being here in the South. It's just what it is. So, I went through Helene together. It was actually a good time. It was nice to have a friend in here. I was the man. I was totally at peace. I just did what I needed to do. Cut the tree. Did this, did that. We got through it. I feel so vulnerable now. So alone. And it all came in on me. I've been alone for years, but it hit me after she left. She cooked dinner. To smell the smells of somebody else cooking. To know that somebody was here. What a relief that was. You think I could even reasonably believe I could have a wonderful relationship with a gay man? No. So I befriended Sputer at the flea market because you know what? At least he was being in touch with himself. And I liked talking to him, and I took my picture with him a few times, and I felt sad that a Trump supporter with a Trump shirt on is threatening to shoot him. And I'm glad I had that experience because I think it's time in America that we wake up. Because a lot of people get mad when I beat on the Democrats, and they are a mess. I will never, ever, ever support the Democrats. But I'm starting to believe, like many of my viewers, that the political system is one bird, same bird, two wings. Trump hasn't done a thing for us. Kamala would just wreck things faster. People say, ask not what your country could do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Well, that's all well and good. There's nothing I can do for my country. I'm just trying to go to work and keep my sanity when you have butthead Christian and you have butthead older black man. Both of them are the same and that they're rude. And, well, you just got to know how to take them. I don't have to know how to take them. If you can't show somebody that's not just like you respect, I don't have to listen to you. And we live in this world where guys carry themselves with this dominating funk. We got a guy there that looks like he's outlaw, big old beards, skinny guy, smells like a cigarette, smoking constantly, taking extended breaks. I want to say, will you get the F out of my way? Oh my gosh, move. And he thinks he's a man. Got his ball cap on, his shades propped on his head. This guy actually thinks he's a tough guy. I had him at the pack table for a week. He didn't do shh. I love how men have this aura about them that gives off like they're badass. Until I see him working with me, I'm like, this guy is a Pussy. There's nothing here. It's all an image. All the suit and ties on Sunday morning. How's Mr. Mike today? I don't know, Miss Mary Ann. You're in romper room all day and your husband makes good money. My life isn't as good as yours. How are you? I'm doing well. I live in a stupid world. Hello? I'm just honest. There's women on my channel that are hot. You think I could have a date with any of them? Never. I mean, they flirt with me, but they wouldn't date me. They wouldn't marry me. They wouldn't. No. I'm sorry. I know this is about human nature. They like the channel. They like what they see, but no. They wouldn't date me. Samuel Kane, I'm going to be going to Florida. I want to stop by and see you. That'd be awesome. I would love to have you. Never hear from him again. What the hell is that? Do women even realize that we have a heart, or do they don't give a shit? What is it? These are Christian women doing this. Yeah, let's worry one more time about the clothing I'm wearing. I think it's time I admit I'm dying down here. I think it's time I admit that I can't deal with this. Some days I just want to cry. Some days I just want to throw down the gauntlet and say, I give, God. Put me on the altar, throw the axe blade down on my back and end this shit. Hey, Michael, if you're listening, read between the lines. You're sick. Get off my channel. You'll be reported for that. Nobody has my back. I don't trust people. I try to, and I get burned again and again and again and again and again and again and again. Oh, well, God has the right one. Don't look. Oh, yeah. 60 years gone by. So a woman's going to come after me when I'm 85 and all wrinkled up with a walker? Oh, wow. Okay, cool. By then, I probably won't even have any libido. I admit, I'm a human and I get tired of all this. These jackasses on the internet, somebody needs to take a fist and every one of these trolls and go, BAM! Straight through the face, out the back of the head. You want to run your mouth? Run it one more time now. I'm sick of it. You don't know me. And I'm tired of it. Where do you get in your mind you're the definition of anything? Grown men saying, sick. You're sick for making a comment about me. This channel isn't for you. Keep moving, clown. I know the circus quit. There's all these unemployed clowns, and they're all on the internet hoping to get work. Sad. Every one of these trolls that's left a comment, if they do have a face picture, I'm better looking at 60 than they'll ever be in their entire life. More muscle tone, more defined. That's what's really ironic. Ugly people judging me. Messed up, majorly dysfunctional people judging me. These aren't GQ guys coming on here saying this. It's schleppy men that think that they're badass. Yeah, you could be wrong, and you are. A guy at work said something the other day, and I actually felt sad for him. I can't remember what I said to him. He said, I gave up on my hopes and dreams, and I buried them in a hole in the ground, and I forgot where I put it. I looked at this guy, and I said, that's sad. And he goes, well, it's true. If you think doing what I do here is my dream. Wow. He's finally being honest and vulnerable. How do you like your new job? Sucks. I pack shit. I'm never caught up. I go. I get to hear when I make a mistake. And they do that because that excuses them from ever giving you a raise. Even though I do 5 times the volume of work any of them ever did before I came. It's a stupid world. Christ makes the difference with corporate boss owners, right? Not always. Christ makes the difference when you go to church. Not always. All you girls out there, you don't even have to work it. You got a line of men that are waiting to sweep you off of your feet. I don't have that. There's nobody who's going to say, there's no multi-billionaire who say, Mike, I've seen your channel, I've seen your hard work. I want you to manage my estate. You'll have a guest cottage, you can live there for life, I'll pay you handsomely. I wish I was somebody's slave that had that. People think slavery's bad. No, it isn't. Depends on who the master is. We're slaves to Christ or we're slaves to Satan. But I'll be a slave to somebody who's going to treat me right. Women expect us men to be their damn ATM, and I don't get nothing out of that. But a headache, and bitchiness, and fussiness, and no sex. And then those same women will, oh my gosh, you looked at another woman. Well, you don't give me anything. What'd you expect, toots? And then they wonder why affairs are so high. Women wanted equality. They wanted to go to work. They didn't want to stay home barefoot and pregnant. And now women are nicer to me in the workplace than they are in the house place. Gee, and you wonder why the guy slept with her. It's a great, big, stupid world. You wonder why I tried a ladyboy in Hong Kong. You wonder why I did this. You wonder why I did that. Christians are very good at throwing scripture around. They're very bad at unpacking why any of us got where we are. People excuse actual sin. The drug culture. More and more people coming on my channel. What do you got against marijuana? I mean, that's another layer of, can't date that one because she smokes pot. Have you ever smelled somebody who smokes pot? Smells like armpit. Who wants to be around somebody smoking something that smells like body odor or skunk? The ones that do it do. They love that. I was going to date a girl until she got high. I was going to French kiss her, instead she got high. Women have more addictions than we men do. Cigarettes, dog obsession, couch potato, Netflix, cable TV, bills, and more bills. Well, I have to have all this. No, you don't. Whatever happened to simple? Really doesn't mind F on you when you're sitting in a restaurant in Tampa and a 15-year-old who carried herself like a 30-year-old from Argentina is beautiful and she's carrying an adult conversation. I'm just going, wow, that was a Freudian disaster. And not once did the father look at me like, this creep's talking to my daughter. I shook his hand. He was a man of few words. He was busy eating. This woman said, nice to meet you. You're a very handsome man, by the way. Oh. A 15-year-old girl who had more collective wherewithal from another country than here? But, oh no, you can't think that way. She's underage. If her father said in my country it's legal to marry her, I'll get you work. I'm gone. I'm gone. Yeah, I said it. What are my choices here? Nothing, and stepped in crap. Most people are stepped in crap. Most of what you got at my age is 0. I can't say what I want to say because I don't want to hurt people that I care about. Because I don't want people to take it the wrong way. But at my age, I'm a rare breed, and then my hair hasn't turned color. When you got women 10 years younger than me that got a turkey neck, and their teeth are gone, and their back hurts, and they're laid up, why am I going to pursue that? Because I promise you this, if I'm laid up and I can't do anything, there's not a pretty woman out there that'll take me under her wing at all, anywhere in this country. Read my lips. We men will do it for them, but they won't do it for us. It's very sobering as a man. I have nowhere to go but up. I have nowhere to go but to God. And you grown men out here saying I'm sick, you're an idiot. And you don't know what you're talking about. I'm not sick. You're the one who's unwell. Leaving comments like that. That's the real world, folks. Yeah. It's pretty sad when the only thing I have to look forward to is the thought of rubbing one out and having that wonderful orgasm. That's what America's become. Pointless. Yes, I have a house, but I have no community here. I have nothing to live for but God, and that's hard. Sometimes being a Christian is like eating bricks. Sometimes trying to follow the commands of God is like eating chalk, straw, wood, hay, and stubble. Sometimes it's just hard. I miss Hong Kong. I miss being able to boy meets girl and you go and have a good time together. I miss that. Women got that here. And whether they're Christian or not, they're going to go do it. Me, no. I don't have it because I don't get it. The only women that come after me in this country are ones that are broken, burnt out, rusted freighters waiting to go to the scrapyard. That's it. I'm sorry to say that. Life is a cruel joke to me. Life is a dichotomy that doesn't make sense. Many times I've yelled in this house and said, why don't you just finish me off, God? There's no point in me living. No, I'm not suicidal. But I wish I could go to sleep tonight and not have to go to work tomorrow. I wish God would say, Michael, you're done. I'm taking you home. Thank you, Father. Thank you for delivering me. I hate this life sometimes. The reason I don't have the chat on is because I can't talk about that stuff. Everybody's too busy with their conversations. People are people. And I appreciate people for something. I appreciate people for taking time. I appreciate those of you men and women that encourage me. That means a lot to me. I'm not putting you down. But my reality sucks. For those who want to worry about the way I'm dressed and think that I've lost my mind, no, I'm fine. So one silly thing I can look forward to. Feels good to be sensual. I wish I could be wanted the way a woman's wanted. Not by a bunch of gross, sweaty, hairy, beastie men. The funnest relationship I ever had was with a Korean woman in Denver. We could talk about our fantasies, and boy, did we have fun. She kissed, we made out like teenagers. She wasn't saved. She was a Democrat. She said, normally I wouldn't go out with you, but she said, you have a wildness and a free spirit that I just love. And I was in love with her. But she was, like everybody else, fickle as hell. Her parents were ashamed that I didn't make big money. Her mother and father, the mother was an alcoholic and she was anorexic because she binged and threw up. They had matching golf carts. They were both retired doctors, had a house in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and a house in Vegas. And they never met me, but they saw my YouTube channel and they despised me. They were from North Korea. They had the same view. Why isn't Michael at his age wealthy? Why doesn't he have his own company? Because not everybody can be a businessman, dude. Why do you go to a restaurant that has busboys and cooks? Why do you ride a bus in another country? Why do you go on a cruise ship full of service-oriented people to make your boat ride happy? What's wrong with you? If everybody's a professional like you, where's the service? Dumbass. And I told Shimona, I said, I despise your parents. They haven't even met me. I don't even want to meet them. Because you're not going to like what I say to them. I'm going to tell them to their face. What are you an alcoholic for if you got it going on, lady? Why are you binging and purging? You got matching golf carts. And you, sir, you judging me. Do you know what I've been through, clown? Yes. This whole society's broken. Everybody. I'm going to say it. All of y'all pay for cable. All of y'all pay for Starbucks. All of y'all pay for your little whatever it is. And 99% of you, you're not going to donate 1 cent to this channel. Am I trying to make you feel bad? I do what I do because I love it. But I also see the humanity and craziness of people. Some of them on my channel will donate money to the toilet bowl and the Ewu channel and haven't donated a dime. Wow, that's telling. But then you get mad when I turn off the chat. You don't pay anything, and you get mad because I turn off the chat on some of the videos. And there's been some new women and men coming in there that are really awesome. Denola and Mandy and Heather and Gravity. She's been there a minute. And I'm missing others, forgive me, but there's some good balanced women that said, I love your content. I like it when you turn off the chat because you get going, and I like to hear that. And Nate and men and numerous other people, y'all an encouragement to me. Forgive me if I seem like I got the walls up about some of you getting too close and personal. I just cannot explain it, but sometimes I have a check in my spirit that says no. I've learned after all that's happened last year, listen to that. Is this how it ends? This is how the story ends. I like that song by the Sundays. Mike, you got a house. Yeah, but is it a home? Most of these people in Augusta, they get a car and a truck and they don't pay their bills and they might as well move into their car. Now that's a sad culture. I'm surrounded by morons and idiots. I'm surrounded by people who like shitty, noisy, not music, but just noise. I'm in a culture that they're very judgmental of us, and I'm looking at them going, you're so effed up, and you got a lot of nerve to even look at us in any way with condescension. But hey, let's MAGA, man. Let's make America great, man. We're really pulling it off, aren't we? We're not. We're not. (2008), Hibbing, Minnesota, driving a school bus. I love that old number 56. I remember a gentleman, a coach. I took a team down to Duluth one night. He said, I want to tell you, and we were a tiny company. He said, you're one of the best drivers I've had to date. I said, thank you. I drove comfortable. I had one hand on that steering wheel, one hand on the old-fashioned manual door handle. And I drove smooth. I loved my job, and it showed. I got a letter from the Lakewood Senior Center in Duluth. They wanted me to drive them during the Christmas break to a light tour, and it was snowing that night. I got off and helped the seniors on the school bus, drove in the snowy Duluth night. She'd tell me, take us over here, Michael. I know where there's some good lights. My boss called me upstairs a week later and said, I want to show you something. And he gave me a card. I want to thank the bus company for giving us Michael Nelson to drive our bus. He drove very smooth, all us old biddies on here, driving down snowy streets, handled the bus well, very polite, an exceptional driver. You know, it hurts me that I work at a place that everybody's so sarcastic and cynical that people got to make jokes. And I'm sorry, I'm supposed to be tough, but sometimes it just hurts. I work my butt off, I give my all, and my value is on a zero level with most people. So why is everybody so worried about what I'm wearing? Why is everybody so worried about me dressing like a woman? They didn't care before. They don't care about anything else. That's American society. Any excuse to just loft nasty comments of hatred. I believed in a lot of crap. I went all the way here to try to find what I never found. Real love. The one memorable part of that trip to Miagao in the Philippines was the woman that I went after. It was a complete waste of time. But her mother was a godly woman. And we were going to stay down there. We visited her one last day. And then the next day we'd be going back to Hong Kong. That mother put her frail brown arms around my neck, kissed me on the cheek, and in a shaky voice said, God bless you, Michael. Thank you for coming to visit us. Thank God you're a Christian. That same woman went to hug her daughter. Her daughter stood so rigid. We got on the jeepney. I said, what is wrong with you? What you mean? I said, your mother's a venerable old soul and she hugged you and you stand there ice. Why you think like that? I said, there's something wrong with you. I'm in the Philippines and I saw it. Everybody thinks all the Filipinos are so nice and like the sea monkeys. That all the Filipinos look like this. They believe that. That they're all happy. Man, I saw a lot of dour faces when I was down there. They work for pesos, peanuts, hard work, doing laundry the old way. Jeepney stops, it's crowded. I see some woman hunched over trying to drag a box on. Not one Filipino man is getting off. I get up out of my seat. I said, hey, let me grab this. I grab and pull it up. That old Filipino woman get on, sit down, and she look at Beth and say in Tagalog, where is he from? She said, he's from the USA. She said in Tagalog, wow. That man's from America. Showed me more politeness than my own people. Look at all these young men. Nobody offered to help. This world sucks. And if it's friendly to you, it's because it's using you. It's exploiting your looks. You women are dumb that have looks and think you're all that. False sense of confidence. You're not going to get to heaven. God's not going to go, wow, you look hot. He ain't going to do that, toots. He ain't going to look at your little cleavage. Man, we build our castles, sand castles all over this world. I sat on the MTR in Hong Kong. An older stove-up Chinese woman hobbling on. Man, you got to get a seat on that, because when that thing goes, whoa, baby, does that fly. 80 miles an hour. When I got on, I had a seat. Normally, I never get one. I'm grabbing the grab bar. And you're packed in there like sardines. I'm taller than most of the women, and you got a woman whose boobs are into my chest. And another one that's right up against my butt cheeks. And I see this woman struggling. And she grabs the center pole, and I grab her hand. I said, come on. And I didn't leave my seat. I wanted to make sure she'd get her butt in there before somebody went and took it. All these Asian young men with their phones. And they're all looking at me. And the lady say, Doje, Doje, Doje. And she touched my hand. She take her hand. You know, Americans have a reputation overseas as being buttholes. I made sure not to be one of them. I'm passionate. What does it matter? I have love. Who cares? I'm a child of God. And I'm vulnerable. I be myself, and people just throw hate on this channel. And people say, don't pay the trolls no mind. No, no, no. You're not the boss. I'm going to say something. Because all these trolls are nothing but a skid mark on a toilet. No picture, no channel. And that's why America gets fake plastic people that use and exploit, because you made fun of genuine. You made fun of genuine, simple people. You teased them. You bullied them. You told them, don't be like that. You'd rather have people say, I'm doing well. Come on in. We'll sell you this bunch of crap and have you believing you're getting the deal of your life. And you just wasted $150,000. That's society. To hell with corporate America. That'll be the best place for them. They worship money. They stepped on people, all those people laddering up. I stay away from people like that. I work in a damn warehouse. We have a Dominican Republic woman who lives around the corner from me. By day 2, she wants to play bossy butt. Everybody wants to rule the world. And none of them are qualified. I got some sea monkeys to sell you. They're really cute. You think about that. Some corporate clown thought that was a good idea to trick children. I actually thought that they looked like that. Standing like people. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And America continues to do it to this day. They do it. Getting in debt. It's a good way. You're going to have the house of your dreams. Just get in debt. Oh yeah, that bank loves you after you miss a note. You think that bank's going to send you a voicemail? Wouldn't you like to ride in my beautiful balloon? You have failed to make a payment. We are going to foreclose on your property. If the bank makes a mistake, we're sorry for the inconvenience. You make a mistake, you're done. Corporate America is an ass. And this whole country is bought and owned by corporate. The black people are bought and owned by Nike and Adidas. People aren't individuals anymore. We're so stupid, we pay to put a big sticker on the back of our truck, advertising somebody else's shit. Why would you pay to advertise somebody's crap? Because your identity's wrapped up in that. But you call me sick because I do what I do. I don't like the way life is. I don't want to be like that. Whether I did right or wrong, at least I tried something. At least I experienced it. And yes, sin is pleasurable for a season. It's really sad that when you go to church, it's really sad when you go to church, and there's a big difference between that and a steam bath. I can go to a steam bath, be naked, and nobody's judging me and making fun of me. But you go to church, oh, your hair's wrong, you're not this, you're not that, you're not this, and you don't feel welcome, and you don't feel the love, and you got flaky, fakey people dressing in dress barn clothing that are fat and overweight with tattoos and dyed blonde hair, and they're talking about Starbucks and their dogs. Hi, Mike, how are you today? I'm not good. I came in here, and this place is depressing. Yeah, that's my world. Where is the passion? Where is there a place for me beyond the grind? I wish I could wake up tomorrow and say, F it, I'm not going in. I'm going to sell, I'm going to take a step of faith, and we're just going to go. No, you can't. This world isn't like that. $1,200, $1,500, $2,000 a month for rent. Hurry up, we got new apartments for you. No freaking way. Choose your level of oppression. Choose your poison, pick your bait. That's what life is. You can't pick a mate. And I know in my mind, a gay man cannot give me what I need. Men are men. I cannot fall in love with a man. I never have and I never will. There are men that I thought were my friends that I loved on a phileo, or like Philadelphia phileo basis, brotherly love. That guy at the Wheatridge Rec Center, very nice guy, worked at a warehouse, muscular, good-looking guy. Because of the dysfunctionality of our society, I could have easily laid in bed with him naked and just felt like, wow, this is kind of fun. But to do that, to live that life, no. I was made for a woman, but women aren't made for me unless I go overseas, far and away. I'm sorry if I'm offending the women on my channel. I'm not intending to do that. I hope you hear the pain in my voice. I hope you sense the scars and the damage that's been done. You never recover from that. You just go on. I ran into a guy from the maintenance department. He looks like Hulk Hogan. I always call him Hulk Hogan. He says, why aren't you driving a bus? I said, dude, I got fired. Yeah, but Mike, they need drivers. I said, they're going to take me back, and I don't want to drive these damn kids anyway. Somebody asked me, what would you do if they said we're not getting anything done and they made a change and had you come back? I have no idea. I don't believe that would happen. What they did was wrong. What they did was wrong. I've learned. One race can talk shit about us all day, but we can't say the truth about them because then it's called racism. This is a screwed up world. Please don't worry about what I'm wearing, boys. Instead of being gay and making rude comments on my channel, why don't you swipe up and move on? You're not a man by doing that. And it doesn't mean you're better than me. Not at all. You're just running around in your inconsiderate, rude underwear, not knowing who I am, and I don't care about you or who you think you are. You're a blowhard. You're an internet toilet bowl skid mark. Let me know when you have something that's worthy to contribute to the channel. Thank you for listening. To those that are saved, God bless. To those that aren't saved, please get saved. You don't have a guarantee of tomorrow. Because no matter how bad life gets, if you're not saved, 1 second in a lake of fire, realize that's for all eternity. Choose your master wisely. God or Satan.